Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends, enemies, and comrades, this is Kenya Revolutionary. I hope you're doing well. Are you doing well? Karibu, 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 karibu. I'm going to give you guys a few minutes just to situate yourself. I know it's probably late, wherever you are. I just finished watching the Euros, but we'll forget about that. Get in, get in, get in. I'm giving you guys a minute. 5 minutes. Get yourself situated. I just came in. I was supposed to come in 30 minutes later, but I'll give everybody a few minutes just to jump on the live. If we get to 100, I'm bringing in the panelists. We have a lot to talk about today. Ruto is begging for an audience. We are going to find out why is it this guy is desperate to talk to people, because it seems like no one wants to listen to him. In fact, there are some people who are trying to boycott or to sabotage his talk. I listened to his X space, whatever. Like I said, I was going to listen to it for shits and giggles. And there was really nothing that he said that's out of ordinary. It was the regular balderdash, just talking out of his not saying much, giving us promises. Oh yeah, I'll provide, the government will create, I don't know how many jobs, construction job, while the guy who was asking a question was like, hey, listen, I'm a graduate. I just graduated from my engineering school. Another one was a lawyer, was telling him, yes, listen, I've been to law school for, 5 years. I'm waiting for a job. I can't get a job. What is the solution to this? And Ruto got in there and went on a tangent for like a 30-minute speech talking about what the housing levy has helped to create jobs. We are not interested in that kind of nonsense. So, but anyway, we shall break it down. Please, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends, enemies and comrades, we are here. This is Kenya Revolutionary. Please join in. Let's get in. I'm about to play the whole speech. Let me start with the speech that Ruto gave today, that he gave before he went to he gave a speech before he went to X Space. The X Space one was so. Anyway, we'll get to that. We'll talk about that too. The X Space stuff. It was I don't know why they had that X Space or whatever. It was a disaster. It was a disaster, to be honest with you. It was a disaster. I know he's trying to reach out to people, but that speech was just that whole experience was just silly. But anyway, I'll pray you that the speech. Remember, he gave a speech before he went to that whole X-Space thing. But let me start with that. Before I get started, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, I know it's late in Kenya, wherever you're watching. If you're in Europe, please karibu. I know it's late at night in Europe. It's late, very late in the morning in Kenya. Tomorrow is Saturday, Sabado. So if you're still up and you're getting a notification, karibu sana. I'll open the studio for you if you want to get in and give your thoughts on Ruto's exchange with the Wananchi on X. A lot of people boycotted it, and a lot of people are calling Otero Osama, whatever his name is, calling him a sellout because he hosted Ruto. And he said that it seems like they were in the same room. The guy who was actually telling people, giving out information about the Mandamano. So it seems like he sold out. But anyways, that was kind of new. I want to play the speech that Ruto gave before he went to X. But before I get to that, ladies and gentlemen, and brothers and sisters, friends, enemies and comrades, if you're just bumping into this video and you're waking up, you got your notification and you're wondering what's going on, please go ahead and like this video. That's the first order of business, is to like the video. Like the video. And if you haven't liked it yet, go ahead and like it. And if you're wondering what kind of channel this is Kenya Revolutionary. Please don't hesitate. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel. This is a channel where we give an insightful review of Kenyan politics. I'll tell you as it is. We don't hold any prisoners here. We tell you like it is. If we think Ruto is messing up the country, the hashtag is Ruto must go. We give you like that. If you think Raila is a sellout, we'll tell you Raila is a sellout. If you think Karua is a faker, we'll tell you Karua is a faker. If you tell you what's his name? That's the guy from whatever. Kalonzo is a watermelon. We call it like it is. We don't have no tribal affiliation. We say what we have to say. And if you have a different view, you're welcome. I'll put the link in, and you can get to the in the studio and just put your camera on and be respectful and give your view. Karibu sana, Godia. Karibu sana, karibu sana, karibu sana, Godia. Karibu sana. Everybody else are welcome. You are here, welcome. Give us your opinion on what happened today when Ruto went to X and had an exchange with Wananchi, the so-called Gen Z. To me, I think it was predetermined, and the questions that were asked were quite silly. Most of them, he didn't answer most of the questions that were pertinent. The ones that people wanted to ask. There was a question that was asked about Linturi. They were asking, hey, Mr. President, why you say you are fighting corruption? How come Linturi is still surviving and is part of your Ninio? And Mr. President said, oh, we have institutions that take care of this, and these institutions, if the minister is found guilty, he'll be charged. If he's not found guilty, then he's free to walk. And he conveniently failed to address the whole point when they the National Assembly, they voted to impeach Linturi. And it was the commissioners, 11 commission out of that not commissioner, but the committee, 11-man committee, with 7 of them comprised of UDA members of parliament, and the rest are from Azimio, who was supposed to go and find out if these claims of Linturi being involved in fertilizer scandal, if it was true. But these guys, some of them came out and said, listen, we've received phone call from somewhere offering us 2 million each to vote Linturi to go on as the freaking Minister of Agriculture, whatever the case is. But Ruto failed to address that. And the reason why I say the questioning was predetermined, because nobody really asked him, told him, hey, listen, how about this claims by member of parliament saying that you gave them a call. A call came from the executive office telling them to vote in a certain way, even if the finance bill. Nobody asked the pertinent question. Even the insufferable Robert Alai joined in and asked the questions that he was supposed to ask Sakaja. Sakaja has been looting Nairobi dry and has said publicly that he has offered Raila Odinga 200 million so that he cannot be impeached. But when Robert Alai was asked that question, Robert Alai conveniently never answered that question, but he has the balls to go to X space to ask a question to Mr. Ruto, who is irredeemably corrupt, a murderous dictator who is pretending to be trying to reach out to the Kenyan youth in order to take care of their concerns, while we know he's an economic puppet. He's a Western puppet that has no use in Kenya. This guy has to be removed. Not only has he has to be removed democratically, people have to remove him by force. There should be no negotiation with William Samoei Ruto. I gave the way forward in my previous video outlining the date that we should remove him, which is September 13th, 2024, 12:54 p.m. We should march. Young, old, men, and every age group should march from every part of Kenya and descend to State House and take out Ruto, because Ruto is playing games with Kenya. He's a Western puppet, okay, who has been harboring his fellow criminals who are pretending to be his cabinet ministers. There will be no meaningful change in Kenya unless we forcefully remove Ruto through a popular revolution by the people. Nasio tafadhali, Ruto, you need to be removed right now. And I don't mean right now, I mean right now. Ruto must go. Let's listen to this clown. Well, he gave a 14-minute speech before he went to X Space with predetermined questions where he pretended to be answering questions, while it turned out to be his opportunity to preach to us about the useless, non-confirmed achievement that he claimed to have achieved since he came to power. He was doing a lot of apologies. He was doing a lot of fluffing and waffling, saying a bunch of nothing with no real reasons that can resonate with the real Kenyans in the real ground. This man has to be removed. There's no two-way about it. William Ruto is a rotten apple, just like his predecessors. He needs to go. He needs to go right now. Let me play this video about it. This is a speech by him where he was lecturing us before he went to X Space. Let's listen up while I do so. Please, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends, enemies and comrades, take this opportunity to like this video and subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed. I'll open the window for anyone and everybody who wants to come into the studio and give their own view. If you want to contradict my view, it's well and good. We'll be cordial. We'll be very, very professional. We'll listen to you. Turn your camera on and be respectful and tell us why you support Ruto. If you disagree with him, equally we shall host you and we'll be cordial. We'll be very, very pleasant and we'll listen to you. We want to listen to your points, why you feel Ruto must go. If you feel like he should stay, please tell us why he should stay. Meanwhile, while I play this video, please call your friends. Wake up if you're sleeping in Kenya. Wake up and like this video and subscribe if you haven't subscribed, because we are about to get in. Let's listen to this clown called William Samoei Ruto, who pretends to be the president of the Republic of Kenya. Are you ready? Please go ahead. Let's go. Hold on, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. Here's the video. Let's go. Let's get in. Please like the video, subscribe, share, like, comment, and do all the good stuff. All right, let's get started. Here's the news that he started with. Let's go. Here it is, the addressing of the nation.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen.
Hold on. We are going to play it again. Please like the video, share, comment, do all the good stuff. Ladies. Let's do this. Here's the video. Like, share, comment, subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed. Subscribe. I want 125 likes today. Please, let's go and do that. Let's achieve that. We have to achieve that. Let's go.
Have been a difficult time for us as a country, where Kenyans have regrettably lost lives. Many have been injured, property destroyed, and our institutions, especially constitutional institutions, attacked. Once again, I extend my deepest condolences to those who unfortunately lost their lives. One life, as we all know, lost is a life too many. To the mothers, fathers, siblings, relatives, and friends of those who lost their lives, my deepest sympathies.
I will pause this right there. You know, the biggest criticism that he got when you were being interviewed with Eric Latif and Linus Kai and Ogola, whatever his name is, was that when he was asked about the 12-year-old, he showed no remorse. If anything, he asked if he's still alive. The promise, the biggest whatever that he got, pushback that he got, was that he never showed any empathy. So this time he starts his speech by pretending to be sorry about the deaths that has occurred, the deaths of the valiant men and women that were gunned down by his police force, while he will brag at X-Space, reminding us how he has funded the deadly, murderous police force that is killing innocent protesters. This is how this guy is fake. But let's listen to the rest of the speech.
And condolences to you all. Equally, to the many others who are injured and recuperating, I wish them quick recovery. The government of Kenya will support all those who've lost their lives and those who've been injured. Despite all this, as a nation, we are finally discussing issues. We are not discussing tribes, personalities, or political formations, but rather we are discussing issues that affect each and every one of us. Issues of taxation, debt, budget, corruption, the cost of living, unemployment, and opportunities for all Kenyans, especially our young people. If you go back on my Twitter account, I made a commitment to the country in 2019, 2020, that the conversation in Kenya is going to change. It is not going to be about personalities. It is not going to be about positions. It is not going to be about tribes. It is going to be about issues. Today, that situation is true, that we are having a conversation about issues in our country. We must all be proud of ourselves that we have managed to elevate the debate in our country to the level of issues that affect all of us. I am very happy that we are having a conversation about jobs for our young people, about opportunities for business, about manufacturing, about taxation, about debt, and all the other things that are important to all of us. I make this statement to highlight the actions taken in response to the overwhelming public feedback in the recent days, and to fulfill my
problem with this cretinous individual called William Samoei Ruto is that he thinks that the problem with unemployment is that the solution to unemployment to Kenya youths and anybody else who is unemployment is to get them to join the construction industry. He doesn't care if you are a trained doctor, you are a trained lawyer, you are a trained teacher, you are a trained something else. His panacea to the unemployment issue is for you to join the mjengo that he proclaims he will be creating. He has been preaching the same gospel for the past 2 years, talking about we'll be creating jobs since we have passed this housing bill. There'll be a lot of jobs for construction. So William Samoei Ruto, with his small brain, thinks that whether you're trained as a doctor, engineer, dentist, whatever area of training you have been spent in school, you're a fit construction worker. This imbecile does not understand understand how economy works. To him, kazi ya mjengo ndio suluhisho kwa shida zote ambao inahusiana na ukosefu wa kazi. Haelewi kwamba wengine walisomea mambo fulani fulani. I listened to him carefully. It is almost like he was reading a script, and I'm not talking about this speech. I'm just giving you this speech because this speech is something that he probably repeated in that X-Space. He was basically repeating it almost word to word when he was in X-Space, saying a bunch of nothing with the Wakina Otero. Whoever hosted this cretinous imbecile by the name of Ruto should not be taken seriously. Hussein Mohammed, who used to work for Citizen TV or whatever the case it is, Hussein is an idiot. Everyone that took part into that X-Space wasted everyone's time, for the listeners' time and the participants, because Ruto said nothing new. Ali ended up on a script and he started preaching the same gospel he has been preaching. Oh, the fertilizer has revolutionized the sijui nini, watu wa kahawa watalipwa, sijui the debt we have, sijui nini. The same bullshit that he has been feeding Kenyans for the past 2 years. Thank you, Annie. Yes. It was scripted. Same. I don't know what it will take for Kenyans to be pissed off enough to remove this man. He actually went there and said he is apologizing on behalf of Murkomen of all people. And that Molo MP, Kimani something, I forgot his last name. That idiot that got drunk, that was supposed to address the youth in a meeting that was supposed to address the problem of alcoholism. And he showed up drunk, that Molo MP that had his house touched. He went about apologizing for Kimani Ichung'wah, the irredeemably corrupt imbecile who thinks that he's so smart because he went to, I don't know, Starehe or Mango Boys, whatever the fuck he went to. That dumb fuck. I don't know how I can help these people. Ruto should be removed. And let me say something else to Boniface Mwangi. You fake fuck that has organized whatever you've organized at Uhuru Park with Sakaja. Sakaja has even said he's going to Uhuru Park. A concert to remember the departed. While it's being dressed up as a concert to remember the valiant men and women who were brutally gunned down by Ruto's police force. Boniface Mwangi has been exposed as someone who's been working for the oppressive regime. We can see how these people are being exposed day by day. Caliph Cairo has been exposed. He's back to selling cars, posting pictures of cars. He thinks posting picture of a Mercedes Benz or whatever is actually something that impresses people. This shows you how colonized these fucktards that have been hired by the oppressive regime are. These are idiots, puppets, just like Ruto, sellouts. anyone that shares a podium or platform with Sakaja or William Ruto is a total sellout. Included Robert Alai, who spends most of his day licking Raila's ass crack in order to feel human. These are people who can't take 2 breaths without licking Raila Odinga's balls. These fakers, they have to be exposed for who they are. Revolutionary movement is not about material gains. We are not fighting for material gains. I think it was Peter in the Bible who was quoting, said, "Silver and gold have I not." In today's translation, it will say, Mercedes, Gucci, Lamborghinis, Bentley have I not. But I stand firm for justice, truth, and for these criminals like Ruto, for them, in order to come back to the fold, to be accepted, they have to disrobe themselves of the injustice and gross criminal activity they've committed against the Kenyan people, which means the money that they have stolen shall be brought back. The people that they killed, they should bring justice for that. The land that they took shall be brought back. Their bank accounts overseas should be seized and taken by the Kenyan government. Is for the state. Mark Ranger, the people who hosted Ruto at X Space were not Gen Zs. Those were a bunch of idiots who are looking for a quick buck to make. Real revolutionaries will never sit down with clowns like William Samoei Ruto. We are going to be unequivocal about our position as Gen Z. Gen Z is not Generation Z. Gen Z is the name given to this popular uprising that is standing up against the colonial puppets in Kenya. That includes William Ruto and his cabinet and every policy and everything they stand for. Stands for everything opposing the so-called opposition party Azimio and Kenya Kwanza equally. And anybody associated with them like the video, subscribe if you haven't subscribed. I will put the link in if you want to get in. I'm waiting for you guys to wrap it up to get to 100 in YouTube, and I will invite you in the studio. If you feel sleepy, that's fine. Tomorrow is Saturday. I believe most of you don't work on Saturday, but some do. Some take it as Sabado. Sabbath. They pray on Saturday, which is fine. Annie is telling me he played himself. He can't use the dialogue card again. A blessing in disguise. Absolutely. Ruto is scared to death. Ameogopa. He's scared. That's why he's trying to find anyone and everybody and anybody. Florence Kimodo is reminding us that even Uhuru looted our motherland dry with trillions that can put Kenya to a first world trajectory. That is true. I've been stressing that here. That Uhuru also shall be brought to the books, not just Ruto. James Wood is saying, I won't be worried about that X-Space at all. Kenyans are still angry at the douche. Come one, come all. I'm about to open the lines for anyone who wants to express themselves in whatever way they want to express themselves. Let me give you a litmus test for all you listeners over here. This is what distinguishes us from other political platforms. I know it is fashionable right now to say Ruto must go. Some of these platforms, majority of them are being funded and promoted by the opposition. And I've said that please don't fall into this bullshit. If you want to test, go to these other platforms and say something remotely close to rejecting the members of the opposition party and their leaders. See what kind of reaction you're going to get, and it will tell you that they are not truly democratic as we are. Tuni Mohammed, nice seeing you. It's been a while. I know Tuni Mohammed, you belong to the Shakahola at CST, but it's nice seeing you. Hapa si Shakahola. Hakuna mapasta. Here you can speak your mind freely. So Annie, don't listen to Tuni. If Tuni wants you to go back there, let Tuni log in and contribute. Then we shall give Annie a permission to go back there. CST is the ODM Azimio platform. It should be known. But that's the right. We respect their right to congregate and meet and speak about issues as they try to put forth their Azimio ODM agenda. We respect that. But if you're going to talk about democracy, true democracy, we are not going to give you any second, because you're a faker. You're not for change. You just care about your political leadership. And you are tribesmen. You're tribal chieftains. And that is what CST stands for. Here, like Gen Z, we are tribeless. We are partyless. You speak your mind. Robert Amoko is telling me, Gen Z, if IMF Zakayo remains in office, Kenya's economy will collapse like that of Sri Lanka, Greece, Peru, Brazil, Lebanon, and Pakistan. He cannot fix the economy crisis he has created. Absolutely. I agree. Jamaa hana ninio. He cannot fix any ninio. Ani, don't worry about Mahmoud. Mahmoud, Tuni, wacha mambo mingi. Tuni Mahmoud. That's my sister, but she feels like you have to be loyal to a particular platform. But we are going to tell her that when it comes to Kenyan issues, anyone is free to go to any platform and discuss it where they feel they are comfortable. So Annie, do not feel pressured to go back to the other place. But we welcome everybody, including Bernard, the pastor. He can come here and give his views. Ingrid, I see you. Thank you very much. I feel so bad for our Olympic athletes having to accept the Kenyan flag from him. Absolutely. Democracy is all about living in a cardboard box. I've never heard of that analogy, but I appreciate it. Bruce Yagdev tells us that democracy is all about living in a cardboard box, whatever that means. Does that mean you're boxed in? Good year. Tell us, please like the video, share, comment, and subscribe. Hapa, anybody can come in and speak their minds. Let's go back to Ruto. He was giving us a speech. Let's listen to his speech to Imalize.
Commitment to continuously and effectively listen to the people of Kenya and to underscore my intention to always take public contributions in good faith, applying them to enrich policy.
Annie is a VIP in this channel. Just to put that way so that our friend Tuni must know that. Wacha kumsumbua. Wacha endelee. Viva.
Making governance and government programs. Public debt is and continues to be a major point of engagement and conversation in Kenya. I have today appointed an independent task force to carry out a comprehensive forensic audit of our public debt and report to us in the next 3 months. This audit will provide the people of Kenya with clarity on the extent and nature of our debt, how public resources have been expended, and will also recommend proposals for managing our public debt in a manner that is sustainable and does not burden future generations.
Listing your house on the market isn't the only
gentlemen.
way to sell your house.
Sorry.
Selling to us is much faster.
The consequence of withdrawing the finance bill is the reduction of our revenue targets by 346 billion. Over the last few days, our Treasury team has been assessing the adverse impact of either reducing the budget by 346 billion in full or borrowing the 346 billion in full. And cutting the entire amount in our assessment would significantly and drastically.
Anyone who wants to come to the studio, I will open the studio right now. I will open the studio for everybody to get in right now. Nimekasirika. Everyone get in. Everyone get in the studio. Like the video. We are going to talk about how Ruto is screwing us. Let's get in. Aya, naika link. Wacha niweke link hapa, mtu yote ataka kuingia ingia. We want to hear from everyone and everybody about Ruto's shenanigans. Let's hear it. There's the link. If you want to get in, there's the link. Nimewafungulia link. I'm not playing around. Nimefungua link. I want to hear from everyone and everybody. Karibu, karibu, karibu. Here it is. Whether you have an agenda or not, get in. There's the link. If you want to get into the studio, turn your camera on and get in the studio. There's the link. I've dropped it. Get in. Here is the link to the studio. Gingieni. If you want to. If you want to. Anyone and everyone. If you want to give me your view about what happened today, it's open. I'll be here for the next 30 minutes. I want to hear from you. Tell me, what do you think? Do you think Ruto is in his right mind? Going to X space, trying to engage the so-called young people. I feel it was a classic clusterfuck. It was a shit show. And that's an understatement. Let me know what you think. Bruce says we do not have to live with the rules-based order. That is a white man thing. Karibuni, karibuni, karibuni. Get in. Like the video. Let's get to 100 likes. Let's get to 100 likes. Once we get to 100 people, I've already opened the studio for everyone and everybody. Link ndio hiyo. Ukitaka kuingia, uniambie ati vile unafikiria Ruto. How did he perform with the so-called XG? Did Wakina Tero, whatever the case, did he sell out? Do you think they were right to host him? Do you think so? Get in. Tell me about that. Nish is here. Karibu sana. Nish.
Yes.
How are you doing, my sister? I saw your president went to X-Space and he was addressing your representative, so-called representative. What is your take?
Actually, I didn't even listen to that thing. Like, I didn't even join it because I just know, like, there's nothing he's going to say that would be truthful. And I feel like having a conversation with him is just pointless because there's nothing you will tell him that he has not already heard. What are you going to tell him? Like, you need to sack your whole cabinet. You need to resign. You need to, like, all the demands of the Gen Zs are clear to anyone who's paying attention. So I think this whole space is just a PR stunt, and I didn't want to give him the time of day. Like, I had so many things going on today, and I was like, I'm not gonna waste my time listening to a liar. So I actually don't know what he said, but I know they were all lies or empty promises.
Let me tell you something that he said that will excite you.
Okay.
They asked him about Linturi. Why is Linturi still holding a position after the whole fertilizer debacle? Because the questioner was like, hey, listen, you're claiming that you're fighting corruption. What's up with the Linturi and all this stuff? Mm-hmm. And in his Solomonic wisdom, anyway, he was like, oh, we have institutions that take care of that. So if there's any minister that has been accused of of corruption, the courts will deal with that. And once the courts find him guilty, or the Senate or whatever the case is, then I'll fire him.
Oh, my goodness.
Right. And I was sitting there, I'm thinking, anybody, anyone knows in Kenya that Linturi was behind this. What must he take? In fact, there was one person who told him, why can't you just tell him to step down while the investigations are going on? Because LSK, I think, Katiba, something, they actually waliweka kesi against Linturi of that year. So that's just part of it. He was not sorry about his about his ministers or whatever the case is. I mean, it was a shit show. Just to give you a summary of it. I was listening to that. I'm glad you didn't listen to, because your high blood pressure will have gone up. Ungechoma computer. But the guy is a mess. I don't know. I don't know. But by the way, but I want to ask you this: how do you think about the guy who hosted him, Otero or whatever his case is? Because people are saying that because he was one of the guys who are like the face of the movement, the Mandamano. But since he hosted Ruto, everyone is like, oh, this guy is a sellout. Do you think that's a fair, criticism of him by hosting Ruto?
I feel like usually I'm one to say, you can never know, because anything could have happened behind closed doors. So I usually don't make judgments like that. Like I can't know for sure, but obviously it doesn't look good, because it doesn't. Okay, like I think it was clear to everyone that this guy is a liar and he's always going to keep lying, and that he hasn't even shown any remorse. Well, not remorse, because we know he can't feel remorse, but he hasn't even pretended to feel remorse over the people who've died, and some people are getting like buried today. Like it's just. So I feel like, yeah, he shouldn't have held that space. I think whether he was bought or not, I can't know for sure.
Let me flip this. Let me flip this question. Sorry to cut you off, but let me flip this question, and maybe it might hit home. If I was to host Ruto on my show, for him to come talk his shit, would you consider me a sellout for doing that? I guess because that's the question that people are asking. Because some people, because like I said, the person who hosted him in that X space was actually one of the people who are really involved in the Mandamano. So would you feel some kind of way if I was to bring Ruto over here? I'm just doing that for views and stuff and not really caring about the people.
I think if you had been, if from the beginning you had been a very objective like journalist, then I would understand that. But if from the beginning you have spent weeks, well, not weeks, like 2 weeks, saying this guy is a murderer, this guy is a looter, this guy is a liar, like we need to hold him to account, we need to deplatform all the politicians, including Ruto. So if you've been saying that, and then you go and host him, then you're not practicing what you're preaching. But if you're a news station, and you're a journalist, and you have been objective from the beginning, listening to both sides, I would understand that. So I think the problem was that the person, as you said, the person who hosted it was one who has been very vocal about the whole thing, being against him and everything, and I think he's even apparently close to one of the people who died. So that just makes it like, really,
Right,
so
right. Okay.
Yeah.
Good point. Ingrid, I see you in here. Ingrid, karibu sana. What's your take? What do you think about the president's X Space experience? Were you happy with what he said? What's your take on that?
Oh, hi.
Hi.
Yeah, the whole thing was just a huge PR stunt. And he's scared now. He's scared of Gen Z. And he thinks that by trying to be, all of a sudden now he's discovered how to communicate with
right,
the future generation is a whole load of bullshit. It's bullshit. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I was thinking too, because he was like, there's a point where he said, we should not forgive, but he was asked about Ichungwa and his CSS, the matamshi they gave, and he was like, oh, they're young, sometimes they say things that they don't mean, so I apologize in case of. And I'm like, okay, with all these things that have happened, now is it dawning on you that actually people give a fuck about what they were saying? Like, what the fuck? I mean,
and what really upsets me is the psychology of it, because being the president of our country, the power has just got to his head. The money has got to his head, and it's not even his own dollars or money. It's our taxes. He's used our taxes because, let's face it, whenever you're in a position where you make money, you have a lot of money, you feel, a bit hardcore, but he's using our money to feel that power and using that to shoot people in the streets. And now he wants to do what? Try to communicate.
Right.
It's a load of it was just a PR stunt, and it won't work.
You can curse. You can curse. This platform, you can see. Do
everything. Don't invite me to curse. That's a dangerous thing.
You can have muguka. You can drink. I mean, this is anything. Everything goes over here. This is just freedom here. Let me bring in Jay. Ingrid, thank you for you. Jay, you finally put your camera on. I'm so glad. Your favorite politician, your favorite president was on X. And he was like, hey, Jay, I had you on Kenya Revolutionary TV, whatever the case is. And I'm just going to have some austerity measures. I'm going to get rid of the money that was allocated to my wife, the CS positions that don't need to be getting money. I'm going to make that change because finally I saw you, a couple of people died and, you marauding youth, jobless, had nothing better to do. So I finally got my attention. So I'm doing that. What do you think about your president, Mr. J?
The funny part is the austerity measures are also part of the recommendations by the IMF. So yes. It's not really doing anything and just makes
is it part of the SAPS? Is it part of the SAPS structural adjustments plan, whatever the fuck it is?
Yeah, they pretty much believe in the old same like neoclassical nonsense. So it's the IMF will be clapping their hands with the austerity. So yeah.
So is it true though? Like I read somewhere, I think it was Star Nairobi, the online, I think it's online or whatever the case is, that was saying, you know what? Ruto had to call the IMF and be like, hey, listen, this finance bill is not going through. I'm fucked. Can you guys help me out? How true is that? I don't know where you are in the world. Are you in Nairobi somewhere connected? I don't know.
I'm not in Nairobi, but then like I saw the austerity measures he'll be taking, and like I said, the austerity thing is it's like an IMF staple. So it's same thing with the privatization and everything. So yeah.
Okay. Good. Ben Ad, I believe you're in Virginia. If you're not in Virginia, that's fine. I'm sorry. Karibu sana, karibu. Oh, you have your camera on. Finally, people are getting their cameras on. Kenyans kumbe amko kichwa ngumu hivi. But welcome. Bernard, what do you think about the experience by your favorite president, President William Samoei Arap Ruto?
Thanks for welcoming me. You can hear me?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
I'm actually in the park, and I'm in Virginia. I'm taking a walk in the park.
Nice place.
Near my house. So thanks for inviting me. And I think I'll agree with Ingrid. It's a PR exercise. And he's scared. And he's trying to manage the situation. He's trying to take control of the movement. And he's trying all kinds of things. His daughter, I was very shocked, went live, I think, yesterday or the day before, Charlene, trying to come up with some youth program in 47 counties. So they're scrambling, and they're shaking, and they're making many blunders. So all I can say is this, or someone asked a question, is that, did he call the IMF saying he's in trouble? Yes, he did. And did the IMF offer to help? Yes, they did, because like I said from the very beginning, Ruto is a project of Washington. He never won the election. They rigged him in, and they're doing everything they can to make sure he succeeds. But remember, Washington is in trouble right now because Joe Biden messed up the debate. And Nancy Pelosi is actually now saying that he needs to get out. So Washington has its own problems. So Ruto is even in deeper trouble because they cannot hold on to him any longer. So they may have just to let him go. So he's really in hot soup. So the solution to all this is this. I think I missed your forum yesterday. Kenya Revolutionary.
I was just waffling yesterday, but
but you said something very, very important. You put a date. I think September something.
Yes.
If there is anything that can make Ruto pee on himself, is a date circulate on social media asking Kenyans to show up in Nairobi. That's something that's going to make him go bonkers, because everything he's doing right now, he has hired a lot of people, poured a lot of money, and he's trying to manage the situation. Guys, help me out. Let's take care of this. He sends Charlene Ruto here. He goes on X. You know, he's some of his MPs try, like Moses Kuria today showed up in Nyeri in Wanjigi's funeral. To try and sell Ruto to the Kikuyus, and he was shouted off stage. He's doing everything he can to try and hold on, you know, to his legitimacy. And all we need is to circulate that date, whatever date it is. That does, because right now there is, you know, a revolution takes months. It doesn't take a day, and the effect comes slowly in stages. So right now the Gen Zs went and pretty much desecrated Parliament and withdrew the bill. So the next thing is that Ruto is trying to have him remain as president until 2027, despite all this, which can't happen. So the next thing is to actually challenge him the way Parliament was challenged, because there are three arms of government. So my thing is, you did a great job with that date. And I'm not sure where you got that date from, but I don't care. But it's not.
Right.
But it's a great strategy of what needs to be done. A date to be issued, people to rally around it. And once we get that date, the next thing we're going to start coming up with is something called the irreducible minimums. Like, I don't know what the hell Ruto is doing on X while Mythical Inturi is still a CS. Are you playing with our minds or what? He can pick up a pen and fire him. I said, guys, I heard you. I think agriculture is like 40% of our GDP. The guy issued fake fertilizer. Guys, we can't have this in our country. I fired this guy. That's an irreducible minimum. So anyway, that's it for me.
Right. Okay. So let me go back to Nish. Nish, I was a bit troubled with this whole when I had the news that Boniface Mwangi, who has been really vocal and has been kind of the face of this movement, has been given permission to hold a concert at Uhuru Park. And guess who said he's going to be part of this concert or going to attend? None other than our favorite politician, the Nairobi governor, Governor Sakaja, okay, who has been embroiled in, I don't know, you name it. I don't know how many millions of money, dollars, Kenyan shillings that he has been looting from Nairobi. Is Boniface Mwangi compromised, or is he still legit in you as an Gen Z who's actively part of the movement? What do you think about this?
Well, from what I know, first of all, like Sakaja, they don't have to go for, like, he sent goons last week, so like this week, so he's that guy, you know. And Boniface Mwangi, I think it's a weird case of he thinks he's part of it, but people don't acknowledge him. Because the last time I saw him, I saw videos of people on the streets telling him, "You're not our leader, you're not one of us," and chasing him away. So I don't know if the Gen Zs actually acknowledge him as a representative. So yeah, I would probably have to look into that and see what other people are saying. But I think he's just one of those people who have kind of tacked themselves onto the movement, and so they're very vocal and visible, and sometimes they say the right things. But I think like if he were to betray us, I don't think we would feel the pinch as much as, let's say, Otero or something like that.
Right, because I was also curious because the night before the Thursday, actually the last Tuesday's Mandamano, he had a different schedule of Mandamano, because there was the official one which was saying, okay, we are going to whatever march, and he had a Saba thing going on, which was kind of not the same. He was trying to tell people, oh, we are going to have a concert here, blah, 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 which was different. So I was like, what? Why is he giving a different Oroda of Kipindi? I was just kind of like, this guy, I don't know what's going on. But Jay, what do you think about Sakaja? He said he was in Diani Beach while you losers were in Nairobi trying to remove Ruto. At least that's what he thinks.
Yeah, I think a lot of political guys have been very quiet in the last 2 weeks, which is a bit concerning. You know, they're just moving in silence and shadows, so it's a bit concerning, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, okay, this is how I see it. I think Ruto is scared to death, okay? And he's trying to reach out to anybody and everybody. All right, that's why he was an X. But he's making inroads as far as dividing this movement. When I see how the Hanefas are, the infighting between Hanefa and Ben, whatever his Mwangi, it's kind of, I feel like he might just, kill this thing before I don't know what's going on next week. Are we having another Mandaman on Tuesday or on Wednesday? Anybody knows about it? Jay, did you have anything? Do you know anything about this?
No, but then, like I said, the infighting has been there for about a week or so. I think you have a case where there's all the loudest voices are all competing with each other to become the so-called leader. Don't say it in public, but then that's pretty much what they're trying to do.
Okay. Yeah. Ingrid, I'm back. I'm glad you're back. Before I go to Bernard, I don't know how closely you follow the Kenyan politics. What do you think about the opposition? They've been quite quiet. Raila was in a funeral. He said, hey, listen, these Gen Zs told me to sit out, not to say shit. Do you think it's fair for them to keep quiet, or should the opposition also jump in the bandwagon and help the Gen Zs, remove Ruto, if that's their goal?
The Gen Zs don't need their help. I think the point has been proven.
Because I heard somebody say that, you know what, if Baba and his, like they call him Baba, if Baba and his crew, if he joins in, he'll give them the umph that they need to, because it seems like the general conversation.
Hell no. Hell no. Do you know how much courage and power it takes for the Gen Zs to do what they did? And then this guy wants to come and what? Be the leader of independent power? Hell no.
Okay. I see. Bernard, you gave me the impression that you voted for the other side. What do you think about Baba's Matamshi? Do you think that he needs to jump in and help out before we go to Mr. Freeman?
Well, Baba never, he doesn't need to be involved because this is not about him. But since the little know about Kenyan politics, I know he's involved, and this is why. And this is why the breaking of parliament and the subsequent when the GNZs breached, or whoever breached, I don't know who it was who breached parliament, who actually did much of the damage. That requires an inside job. It requires people to have sophisticated knowledge of which, where the vulnerabilities are, which door to use and how to get in. And for me, I don't know much deeply, but I cannot rule out that people like Babu Owino have helped Gen Zs a lot in some of these accomplishments. That's why the movement has been very successful. Also, I know the politicians, don't forget many of them, even Uhuru Kenyatta, they have kids in this category, in this age, who are Gen Zs. So they don't need to be involved directly. They can use their kids. When Odinga is there, she's very well liked. She has tons of friends in Nairobi. So to me, Baba is involved, but it's through remote control, and it's actually proving to be more effective.
Okay. Freeman, karibu sana. What do you think about all this? I haven't had your voice yet. Yes, go ahead.
So, I think we're getting we're losing our way in a way, I think. And hear me out. Whatever worked was the pressure that we put on the people who voted for this thing. We know their people. We know their families. We live with them. We have to put pressure from families. You have to touch the humanity in this.
Can you give me an example how we can do that? Like, when you say families, what do you mean? Like, go after Charlene Ruto?
No. I'm not talking about violence or anything like that. Go demonstrate outside their families' homes, their moms. You have to realize you have to get the psychology part of it, I think. that will talk. If you can call your mom and she's angry because of what you did, Ruto will not scare you. And that's what he's doing now. You have to think psychologically in that way. This guy, with the guy you're dealing with, he's a sociopath. He has the best tools. I told you, and I believe this, he is a CIA plant. You have to use psychological kind of warfare. Not harming anybody, not killing anybody, but that way.
So paint a picture of what we should be doing. Like we should go rally around his mom's house and
No, don't go for the top. You go for the jagutis, those people who doing the dirty job for him. For example, if you're from Kisumu, you know who is your rep. You know who their mom is.
Right.
Go out, don't harm them. Just highlight, this is what you're doing to us, our people, our land. We have to think in that sense.
Okay.
Make sense?
It makes sense. But I think that he's a hard-headed, he's a tough cookie. Like, say what you want, Will. What about him? I mean, this man, after the parliament was vetted, he came out with his chest out saying, you know what? Fuck you, criminals. I'll come for you.
You can't reason with a madman. Okay? Can we agree on that, right?
Right. So how does me going to his rep, let's say I go for Owalo, who is part of his cabinet, and I stand outside of his office. Demonstrate.
No, not the office. Home.
Okay.
It's
I go
symbolism.
It's right.
Symbolism thing.
I agree with you, but I mean, how does it get to Ruto? I mean, Ruto will be like, okay, Owalo, shit, move to Sugoi. I'll give you protection.
If Ruto can tell you, vote for this, do this, they will realize I would rather resign. Once we don't have any government, he's gone.
Freeman, take an example of Osoro. And who else was it? Who came out in the public and basically told us, fuck you, I'm not apologizing. I voted yes and I'll vote yes again. And people showed up in his house. He still doesn't give a shit.
You see the
point?
How do you
do with that? Yeah.
Even these people are psychopaths to themselves. So the only way you reach them is reaching their families. If they can't call their mom and talk, you have to think in their head. They have to.
Okay. All right.
They have to think. If you can't call your mom, if you can't go home with all your money is useless. Right. If you can't go eat nyama in the butchery around your place, if you can't go drink outside, it's a psychological warfare we are in. Don't forget, this guy is being funded. He has the best tools. He is hacking. He's doing all these things, and the West, all of it, don't want this to succeed because that's how Africa is gonna get out of where we are.
Right.
Can I give this guy an example?
Yes, go ahead, Bernard.
So I went to high school with KJ from Dagoretti, and me and him are in the same WhatsApp group. So first round reading in Parliament, he voted for it. Second reading, he voted for it. And people in a WhatsApp group, it's a high school WhatsApp group for multiple years with about 500 people in it. We piled pressure on him. And people were calling him names. I said, guys, slow down. Don't call this guy. I knew him personally in high school. We were good friends. So I told people, no insults. KJ can vote the way he wants. And I just keep this thing, professional. And pressure was piled because the same guys in the group are on the ground. They in Waitaka, where the high school is. And they know his family, and they know where he goes to worship. And they went and mounted a lot of pressure locally. And it was getting even ugly in the group. So to the point where he posted on Facebook in a document in his own handwriting saying, guys, I really apologize. I won't, I won't vote for this bill. I get the ground is hostile. I won't do it. Guess what? We put our reason to it. He went and voted for it after the third reading, and we were able to get the evidence. And that's when people went and burnt his office.
Mm-hmm.
So these people just do not care. They have no conscience. I guess their conscience is dead or something. They have no soul. I don't know what kind of folks these are. Just to give you an example, that's it.
Right. Kimani, karibu sana. I see you got in. What's your take on this? I don't know if you've been following the conversation. Karibu sana. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much. My take is that the Gen Zs of this country have done a very commendable job. But one thing that I would like to advise them, for people who are ahead of them like us. I attended my first political meeting when I was just 15 years in Ruiru. And all along I have been very consistent with the Kenyan political scenes follow-up. And I know the risks that come attached with being a mobilizer of youths and leading a generation of your time to make a change in a country. And therefore, it's not an easy thing. And I very much I feel humbled by the generation of this time that has taken upon itself to make sure that this country changes for good. And the people who are before them maybe failed them in one way or the other, but they did their part. We cannot say that we failed the generation that come, because like for me, I have a teenager daughter now who is getting into that age of now voting in the next election. But she cannot stand up and say that I failed her in my generation, because I did what I was supposed to do at that time. In 1997, I was a mobilizer. I was a youth mobilizer in Ruiru. I joined political groupings, attended very many meetings in Fungamano for change of this country, but we did our part. But the generation of this time have done a recommendable job because of their unity, being tribeless and being leaderless. This issue of being leaderless is where I come in, because sometimes when a revolution doesn't have a leader, the state agencies are very easy to dismantle it and make sure that it doesn't go anywhere. And therefore, like if you have followed up the whole protests for the last 2 weeks, you can see the generation that was ahead of these Gen Zs are the ones who are mainly immobilizing, the likes of Boniface Mwangi. You cannot dismiss Boniface Mwangi like somebody have had there dismissing Boniface Mwangi. Boniface Mwangi is one of the people who have been very vocal consistently. It's hard to compromise him. Hanifa has also been one of the most vocal people in that protests. And the likes of Miguna have been mobilizing support in the X spaces. The likes of Ogunda, the generation that was ahead of them. That shows that for a generation on the protest of Gen Zs to succeed, they'll have people who are ahead of them to show them the way forward, to show them how it is done, and to show them that you need to have a leader, even if it's not a leader who will be acting on your authority, but a person to mobilize people, a person to show people how it is. Because at one time we will. There's something that we say, and we usually used to say when we were active in the political change mobilization, is that you need to have an exit strategy, an entry strategy, and an exit strategy. What this generation did not have, they did not have an exit strategy, but they had the entry strategy very well. Another thing is that, yes?
If I may stop you for a minute, I just wanted to say that don't you think it's more effective if they don't have a leader? Because like you see now, the president is grappling and scrambling, trying to figure out who is really the head of this movement, so I can sit down and talk to them and bribe them or do something and get to an understanding with them. Because he can't really talk to one person. He's tried Hanifa, those people have mentioned, but he can't. But this thing is still going on, which I think is an advantage, because if we had one leader, like you saw Azimio had one leader, he went in and sat down with Raila Odinga and they negotiated whatever they negotiated. The next thing we know, Mandamano is over, everything is over, everybody goes back to work, things are still the same, nothing done, nothing less. Raila is on his way to AUC. Don't you think that's an advantage that they don't have a leader? But everyone agrees on one thing, which is we cannot continue this way, and at this point we want Ruto out. Quickly, before I give you 1 minute before we go to Nish.
Exactly. They need a leader. They at one point they'll need a leader. But for now, let's say that they are leaders because leaders are those who are mobilizing them in the social media spaces. Those are their leaders right now. But most of them, like you cannot compromise somebody like Miguna. You can't compromise somebody like Hanifa or Boniface Mwangi. We need such leaders in that group, but they should not be physical. That they are leaders, but they are mobilizing them. So at least we have seen what the president has done today. He has scrapped all the 47 state agencies. He has formed one of the most competent, I think, commission to audit the public debt. And it's very commendable for the people that he has chosen to lead that group, that cause. The LSK leader,
so you're happy with you're happy with his recommendation about auditing the debt and the people he chose to do that and all that stuff he was saying before he went to the experts. You're pretty satisfied with what he said.
Yes. For that, I'm very, because what the generation was fighting for, some of those things are now starting to happen.
Okay. Yeah. All right, just hold it there. Thank you so much. Stay right there. I have questions for you, and I'm sure the rest of the panelists have. Nish, from what I hear from Freeman, he's probably saying that we should target most of the people who are voting these things, the MPs and stuff, before we get to the head of the snake. Let's get for the tail, hand, bribs, and all that stuff. What do you think? And Mr. Kimani is telling us, hey, listen, the president is telling us he's going to audit the debt. Shide Koapi, he's listening to us. We are winning.
I think targeting the MPs and so on, I don't know how effective that would be, because I feel like Ruto is capable of cutting his own arm just to survive. So I don't think I don't think he has loyalty towards them, and I don't know if he would be affected personally. Like I'm not sure how effective that would be. Maybe that's something to consider, but I'm not willing to jump on that train just yet. I feel like I still believe that the direct route is the most effective, but yeah, maybe that could work. As for Ruto, I have to admit I didn't really pay attention to anything today, so I don't know. I didn't know he said he would do that, but
can I summarize it for you? Can I summarize in one word?
Yes,
he was full of shit. Go ahead.
Yes. Actually, that's what I was going to say. Like whatever he said, I don't believe it, because
I'm just joking.
I mean, at this point, if you can sit down and listen to Ruto and still believe like he's doing anything in goodwill, like anything he says is coming from a place of like reconciliation, then I'm really sorry for you. Like that this guy is a pathological liar. You cannot believe anything he says. And if he makes promises, he will not keep them, or he will just use that to buy time or to just cool down the the public unrest and everything. So I really don't believe him. And about the leaderless thing, I think, yeah, even though there are some people who are more vocal than others, and they kind of help like mobilize the team, like mobilize the people. I mean, I think those are, I think they're playing essential roles, but I think they're not leaders in the sense that if they're gone, the movement will go on without them, and other people will come up to mobilize others. So I think that's what makes this movement strong, is that there's no one central leader. So we're not in this we're not following a person. We're following the ideology, like we want a better Kenya. That's what drives us. And sure, some people will take the initiative to rally people and things like that. But I feel like, and when they're compromised, it kind of destabilizes us a little bit, because we had grown a bit dependent on them. But then I think we'll move on, and then we'll realize, okay, on to the next person, and someone else would come up and take the mantle. And I think that's the beauty of the organization, and maybe that's why it's giving Ruto such a headache, because he can't control it so easily. That's why he's trying to get anyone he can on his side to compromise the movement. But yeah, anyway, thanks for having me. I just want to say, like, this was it's a bit late and I have to wake up early, so I'm going to have to leave now. But it was really nice being part of this panel.
Thank you.
I'll try to come back again soon.
All right, I'll be here tomorrow and the other day. Have a good night.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Anish. Jay, the president has made some concession or some proposal. Some people are saying, due to this whole Gen Z movement, he said he will get rid of the 340 billion whatever cuts, whatever, and he said he's going to audit the debt. And some people were like, I don't know about that. We have Auditor General, I think Auditor General, whatever the case is, her name is. Why do you need the LSK and all these funny people with funny whatever to audit the debt? What do you think about this? Is he being honest with this, or is this just a bunch of bullshit?
Don't believe what he says, believe what he does. That's how I look at it.
No, so you don't believe anything he came up with?
Only believe in the actions he takes. That's all you should actually believe in. Yeah.
Okay. Ingrid. Is Ingrid still there? Oh yeah, Ingrid. What do you think about our wonderful president? Are you buying what he's selling? He was talking good talk. He told us
Lord have mercy. Do I have permission to swear?
Absolutely. I told you, anything goes over here.
Okay. So first of all, with your earlier caller who said that the audit is fine because Ruto is using the LSK as auditors. And I just have a few questions about that towards Mr. Kimani. How do you get to justify him auditing or using the LSK to audit anything when he has used all our tax money to provide his wife, his deputy president's wife, with millions? How is he even qualified to tell the LSK to audit anything? And the LSK wouldn't do it. The LSK are the ones who have tried to bring him to justice. So anyone in the LSK who he is using to audit anything are either taking the cream off the top of the milk, or they get shot.
Okay. Before we go to Kimani, note that question down, because they're asking you. You believed in audit. They're saying, how do you expect him to audit his the money that has been going to his wife and Murkomen, his best friend, and all that stuff? Bernard, do you have anything to say about that audit? He gives a bunch of proposals. He say he'll give lawyers construction jobs and all that stuff. What do you think?
You can hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, so my battery is dying and I'm in the park, so I could go out anytime. So my question to Kimani is this: how does a lawyer audit? I'm an accountant.
Kimani?
That's it.
Okay. I think you have not checked on that list. The head of that is one doctor who somebody, but the second person there on that list is head of ICPAC, Institute of Kenya Certified Public Accountants, and also now the LSK and then Institute of Kenya Engineers, and there are the other two parties they are down. So it's not that the job has been given entirely to the LSK. LSK Faith Odhiambo is just one of the many people who are.
I think they turned it down. I just saw a tweet that this LSK say they are not going to be part of it because it kind of violates the. I mean, they're arguing. LSK is arguing that the Auditor General should be doing this anyway. And with that too, Kimani, I wanted to ask you this. I don't know if you've heard Jimmy Wanjigi. He has been preaching about this. Him along with Okiya Mtata. Have you heard their whole idea? Jimmy Wanjigi actually audited the Kenyan debts, and he said that we don't owe anything, and most of these debts were taken illegally, which kind of by Article 226, I believe, 5 says that any public official present or previously who misappropriated any public fund, is liable individually to pay back that debt if they misappropriate it. So what do you think? I don't know if you're familiar with Jimmy Wanjigi, because he done the audit and he actually challenged the government to work with him. He has the documents, the receipts, and everything. Kimani?
Yeah, Jimmy Wanjigi, I would not highly commend Jimmy Wanjigi because he's one of those people who created the first government of they were the first actors who created the first government of Uhuru and Ruto, and he was in bed with that government, and when they fell apart, that's when he started criticizing them, and they fell apart because of that deal of the SGR. Then he started criticizing them, and the government came for him. So for him to start now telling us he's a saint.
What if he comes with the documents and says, hey, listen, here's the contract? Because there's also another organization called Okoa Mombasa that they are posting documents of the SGR, and they're like, hey, listen, this is the loans from China, the Chinese bank. This is what came into the CBK. This is how much was used. What if he comes with the receipts? Because I understand the political part. He might not be the saint, but I'm just saying, any Kenyan who comes out and say, I've done the audit and claims he has the receipts from the governmental institutions that are responsible for this and says, hey, listen, let's sit down, let's go over this and look at our debt. Don't you think that's a fair, kind of...
Yeah, it's a fair. It's always good for... It's only the fools do not change their mind. It's good that he has changed his mind and know that for the last about 10 years, he has been very vocal about the importance of change in Kenya for good. Mm-hmm. I don't dismiss him completely, like he has nothing to contribute for this Kenya. We have to give them the credit that they are due for those people who have changed their minds, but they should not be changing their minds because they are expecting something. We know these politicians, how they act, and that's why it's very, very, very important for the Gen Zs to not let the politicians infiltrate that unity that they have. So one thing that I say about the public debt, yes, in Kenya we have a debt. We cannot say that we don't have debt. The previous government did borrow. This government has been borrowing. The only thing that we have, we don't know how much has been borrowed, and that's why we need an audit of the debts that we have. Both the government borrows from local banks and also international IMF and World Bank. We need other countries also like China and what. We need to know how much does our country owe these people. And maybe it's money that we can just wake up one day and say that we are doing a fundraiser to pay these debts.
Okay. Freeman, what do you think? This audit, should we still go to our MPs and burn their houses down so they can get the message? Because, I'm glad this whole debt talk is being brought to light, because I mean, we can now, as a public, ask for those documents, those public. Of course, if you borrow money, there's documentation. We want to find out what money was borrowed when from the banks. But my question is, I don't know. I don't know if the president said that. Somebody correct me if you listen to his whole speech. Did he say how far back are we going to audit this debt? Is it just his administration, or back to Uhuru's days, Kibaki's days, Moi's days, Kenyatta one? How far is it? Kimani, what do you think? I mean, Freeman, what do you think about this? What's your take on this? Unmute. Let me help you unmute a little.
Can you hear me?
Kimani. Yes, now I can hear you. Go ahead.
I think, you know, we're sharing ideas here, I think. Yeah. I think we have to audit our country from 1963. All of it. Make sense?
Yes.
I think from 1963, when we got the first independence, start from there. Those people who stole our money, our land, all of it. Each and everything that we have done as a country is very documented. And now we have information. Go back, see what we did wrong, fix it, and start as a fresh nation, I think.
So you agree with the president?
No, he's not the person to do it. I'm saying this, and I think it needs to be said again. When you see a mad man on the street, you don't reason with them. We take them to the hospital. You can audit yourself. Who? You can audit yourself. How would you do that? You can't.
Okay.
We have to think, guys. You can audit yourself.
So, Freeman, what would you like to see? Do you want him out of office, or do you want him to change his way?
He has to go. We have to start fresh. Go. Get out. Whatever you have stolen, get out.
Okay. Because from what I hear from Kimani is saying, okay, we can work with this. If I get you right, is what we can work with him, put pressure on him, make him do the right thing.
He'll never do the right thing. He doesn't have that in him. Nobody in the government right now, or anybody who ever served, had the right things. We have to. All these kids have to be the leaders. And I don't mean the kids like qualified people.
Right. Okay.
We can't have 80-year-old people who've been running the government from 1963 as a part of the government. You are part of the problem.
Okay. Good point. Afrique 20. Did it just drop? Afrique 24. Karibu. Afrique, can you hear me? Are you audible?
I can hear you.
Yes, I don't know if you have been following. Karibu sana mzalendo.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, but you're away from your microphone. Can you move closer to your microphone?
All right. What about now? Am I audible?
Yeah, move a little bit closer again. Are you taking a shit?
Closer?
Yeah, that's better. All right, go ahead. Karibu. And please tell people about your channel too.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to listen in a bit before I get into the discussion. You can introduce me maybe in the next 2 minutes.
Okay. All right. I'll go to Jay. But anyway, the discussion is basically we were going through what the president when his experience at X Space, when he made a bunch of promises, when he said he will do an audit, and so that's what we're discussing. Should the audit start with just with his government or the previous government or 1963 or whatever the case is? And do we actually believe him? That's the thing, because there's a huge problem with this government as far as whatever, trust deficit in this government. So that's what we're discussing. Some people don't believe him. Some people want him out. Some people like Kimani saying, maybe we can work with him. Maybe this pressure is good. He might fold. He might change things. He might fire CSS. Actually, he promised that he will fire some CS very shortly. That's to quote him. So we are just wondering if this will come to fruition. Now we are on J.
Kenya Rebel.
Yes, go ahead.
Kenya Rebel. I have an echo on my end.
Uh-huh.
I have an echo. I have a serious echo on my end. Maybe let me log out and then log back in.
Okay. All right. Come back. All right. Jay, you are. I haven't had your position with this president. I know you are saying you don't believe what he say. You want to see his action. So are you one of those that say, you know what, I would rather have him at the helm as long as he kind of changes his way? Like Imani is telling us, he can change. We can work with him. He's not as crazy as we think.
Not really. He's more or less the successor to Moy at this point. But on the debt situation, I think it's important to distinguish that the main issue is external debt, which is, borrowed in dollars or euros, which to pay off, you need to get dollars or euros from somewhere. And we're in a situation where we are borrowing in dollars and euros to pay off loans that were already borrowed in dollars and euros. So that's, and if you're not careful, you can wind up in a currency crisis very quickly. So that's one thing to keep in mind. So, yeah.
I've been wondering about this. I know a lot of people don't follow about this, but with these BRIC nations, some of you do. I'm not just what. BRIC nations are really going after, they're trying to they're trying to create their own currency, which is backed by gold. I've always wondered, why don't Kenya have a currency which is backed by gold? Zimbabwe is doing so, and the currency is actually, it's becoming stronger and stronger, even though the economy is kind of, but why can't we do that, Jay? Do you propose that so we don't have to peg our money on the dollar? But I know, we are kind of slave of the US.
Well, we have a floating exchange rate currency, and the thing about gold is the gold standard has failed everywhere it's ever been tried.
Gold standard?
Yeah.
No, it hasn't.
Yes, it has.
No, it hasn't.
Even in the classical gold standard period, there'd be a economic crisis every 5 to 7 years because it has a deflationary bias.
Actually, gold is the most reliable currency you can ever have if you peg it on it. We are having this fiat money currency that is actually a sham, but I don't want to get.
It's a conversation for another day. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I'll get you here for the next time so we can discuss that. Kimani, who you are in here. So Kimani, what do you think? We as people who are skeptical, let's say I'm a Gen Z, what should I be looking for in the next 6 months from this president? You seem to be very optimistic based on what the president was telling us. Should I really have my hopes up with this president, given the history of his, broken promises, Kimani?
For me, I know I never voted this government, so I regret very much for those people who voted and who made us reach where we are right now, because it's their indecisions. They are not listening to the former president when he was warning people. Please, I know these people, they are crooks, they are criminals. Even if I'm not a saint, but these are more evil than me. He kept on telling people that way.
They're evil than him.
And he kept on warning people that don't elect these people to office. But now we have them in office. What can we do? The constitution is very clear when it comes to yes, the Article 1 says that power belongs to the people and they can execute it constitutionally. So the process of now removing the president is more complicated because of what? If we say that we go the the protest way. We have seen so many countries go down through that route. We have seen Egypt. We saw Libya. We saw so many countries we have seen in Africa go down, and they waste many years trying to get a footing again. And therefore, for me, it is a matter of now putting pressure on him to change and have this country change for good. Because Kenyans like lies. During times of elections, Kenyans like choosing people who lie to them, but not those who talk the truth to them. Most of those people who lost the elections from the member of county assemblies, MPs, we had very qualified people to take those positions, but because they were speaking the truth, they lost. We decided to choose the liars, and the consequences now we have to live with it. Living with it is that we are not going to burn this country down. We are going to put pressure. This generation and the others who are capable put pressure on this government to bring change, because at the end of the day, we'll still have a government, even the one that will choose, we'll still have to put pressure on it to change, to bring change in this country. And the first change that should come in this country is to elect people with integrity and people who can, you can say this is a leader, but not as a crook. But you see how these current members of parliament, the current parliament is constituted, is of thieves, criminals, gabblers, and you see, it's all kind of characters. So it is very hard to bring change in this country with the current parliament, because they are completely people who got into those who got into that parliament using crooked ways and using evil money, corruption, and they stole elections, and most of them, both sides of the political divide, the opposition and the government. It's a government. So the basic thing should be, when Kenyans are coming to elections, they should be auditing their people, the candidates, and then making the right decision of people who are truthful but not liars. There's nowhere that right now we can say that this government for the last 2 years has taken this country. We have been stagnant, and they have kept on complaining about the last government, which we knew, even if the last government was borrowing, but we saw so many projects going on, coming to completion, and others they left to be completed by the government that was coming, but they kept on blaming the last government. But nobody is telling us how much money did Uhuru misuse? How much money did Uhuru borrow, but it never went into Kenyan projects? Nobody is telling that, and that's why we come to the point of, we need an audit now, so that whatever these people are telling us that the previous government misused money, like that guy who has said we need an audit since 1963. It's very good, so that we can know where did the rain start. Where did the rain start raining on us?
Okay,
that's my point. Yeah.
Good. Ingrid, Kimani is telling us that this protest might lead us to a place where we might not like it. Is it worth the risk?
Yeah, so I'm just going to go on a trip down memory lane.
Take us with you.
My grandfather was in the Mau Mau, and my dad would tell me stories about how the Mau Mau would fight in the forests, and they would wear their shoes backwards. So when the British soldiers followed the footprints were leading in completely the wrong direction. That's how hard they fought. And now we have Gen Z trying to do the same thing, except they can't do it in the forest. They have to do it on the streets. And so Ruto, being capable of what? Leading us? This asshole actually invited Prince Charles over and allowed this colonialist country to come and put a medal on a Mau Mau, one of the last few, in a wheelchair and give the guy a medal. What kind of president allows the colonialist to come and present a medal to a Mau Mau fighter?
Yep. I was, it rubbed me the wrong way. Not only that, among other things. But go ahead.
Sorry, I'm the only woman here. So, you know, as a woman, I have my emotions attached into this thing. And we don't have time to audit into 1963 and audit and check shit from years ago. It's a bit too late for that because our current generation are suffering. They are struggling to find work. They can't see a future. Nobody has time for that bullshit. Just get out. He has to go and things start afresh.
Fair enough. You had that from Mau Mau granddaughter. Lydia, I see you. You just joined in. Please give us your take on this. I believe you've been following. If you haven't,
I took a nap. I'm sorry.
You just woke up. Hey,
yeah, I'm sorry.
You are sleeping while people are in the street trying to remove Ruto. I
have been praying. Nimeomba nakwambia, nimekuwa nikiomba. I'm telling you.
So basically what we are talking about is Ruto's experience today at X-Space, where he was giving a bunch of promises, trying to answer questions, and one of it was, go ahead. Take it whatever you want.
He's just playing. He's just playing. He's just passing time. He's a narcissist. He likes attention. And one thing about narcissists is they like attention, any kind of attention, negative, positive. He wants an audience. That's what they do. Okay. So he's not going to resign. He's going to just play people's heads. He likes the attention. I mean, we say he's not sleeping. He's scared. This guy has no soul. His soul took off and said, I can't be in this man.
You know, some of us, we were interpreting it as, you know, he's desperate to reach for, to talk to somebody because he doesn't know who the leader of this Gen Z are. So he felt like, you know,
Mm-hmm. But if you study narcissism, narcissists like attention. Okay. They like an audience. So we might console ourselves and say, oh, he's stressed. And maybe he is. But we also have to look at it like he's feeding his ego also. Not that he means what he's saying. He just wants the attention and the audience.
Okay.
So that's another way to look at it from a psychological standpoint.
Okay. Freeman, what do you make of this? We are having different, I like this because there are some people who are like Imani is telling us we can walk around him, put pressure on him and force him to do what we want. Ingrid is saying, no, he needs to get out. We have different kind of, what's your take on this, Freeman? Because you told us, you know, we should target the people that he works with, the MPs, the MCAs and stuff. What's your take on this? Freeman, unmute. Let me unmute you. Hold on.
Can you hear me?
Yes, now I can hear you. Go ahead.
I will talk to one of the, what's her name? One of the granddaughters of Mau Mau, just like me. My grandfathers did. And I think if you think about when we got our independence, don't forget they didn't give us because they wanted us to have it. We fought for it.
Mm-hmm.
They put a poison in our system so they can control us and our people and our resources. That's exactly why you need to go back to 1963. You can have somebody having 10,000 acres when people are living in slums. You can't. You can't. So that's why I stand on that. What's the other question? I'm very pissed off actually. What's the other question?
Good. We want you to get pissed off so you can go to the streets. Hold on to that. I even forgot. I'm also pissed off. I even forgot my question. But I'll bring Freak 24.
It's very maddening, man. You know how sick you have to be a multi-billionaire in Kenya and still want power, and somebody that doesn't have even basic food.
Mm-hmm.
Where are we as human beings? Even animals share food.
Okay.
My God.
Afric 24. Let's see Afric 24. Have you fixed your mic yet, sir?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, much better. Did you? Were you following the conversation?
Yes, I think I followed it up to some extent, but I think the call from what I read on the comment section and the panelists here, people are really annoyed and they want to give Ruto a chance. That is the mood of some parts of the country too, that Ruto should not be given any chance. But I feel that every human being, including those in this panel, make mistakes. And sometimes we look back and see this guy has been here for 2 years as president, and these are the mistakes. The Gen Zs have amplified and the situation in Kenyan politics. And first, it started with the finance bill. Then it has now evolved in a situation where the millennials feel like they want to own the process. Something that we on this panel, I believe there are no Gen Zs here, failed to do. Oh, as for Jay, Jay, you are a Gen Z. Good to see you. Sorry, guys, for my manners. Lydia, nice to see you. Freeman, Kimani, and Ingrid. Nice to see you guys. And it's good to be part of this conversation. One, I think we have reached a point that Kenya has never reached before since independence. A point where young people can have a discussion with the leadership. We have never ever experienced such a thing in our country. This is one of its kind, and to Africa in general, especially in the age group that are calling themselves the Gen Zs. They have managed to hold a very peaceful process, and the government came to its knees begging that, give us a chance. There are raft of measures. Like today, I was listening in to President Ruto meeting on the Express, and you could hear the calls of, what these young people want, and this is something that we've been yearning for a very long time. It's only that we didn't have the technology or the platform or the will to actually make the changes that is needed for the country. We had the desire, but we didn't have the balls to take on the government. Now we have got a generation that has actually done it for us. What I beg for in the millennials, don't try to hijack the process, which is so good. These young people have shown us that they can do it without any kind of violence. People are praying for anarchy. I've heard in some forums that we can have the army ruling us. We can things like that. But you don't look at other countries like Somalia, like Southern Sudan, like Liberia, countries that went into civil strife and anarchy, how it is difficult to rebuild your own country. Whatever crime that this government has committed, if it is committed to dialogue, if it is committed to the injustices that have been happening in our country, especially the abduction, the killings, the throwing in of people in rivers. And remember, this has happened in previous regimes too. It's not only in Ruto's regimes that has triggered this. If the finance bill was a trigger, then let us address these other things without the political class infiltrating with their bad manners into this wonderful movement. Otherwise, thank you.
Good point. Jay, I'll come to you. I'll come to you with this question that I wanted to ask Mzalendo, but you can maybe expound on this. And Mzalendo can address it in the next round. I think people would, accept his hands trying to reach out to them for a dialogue. But the problem is no one trusts him anymore. So they don't see the need of sitting down with him. We don't see any kind of goodwill. He told us about, when he was talking about this finance bill, he will reject it, he will not sign it, only to trick us, knowing that in 2 weeks this thing can become law. He speaks about, justice and corruption. We still see these corrupt leaders still in his cabinet, these CSS. And the abductions are going on. In fact, while he was conducting that interview, they asked him, what about Keter? I mean, while they were still... So the problem is not that the Gen Z don't want dialogue. It's why should we dialogue with somebody who says one thing and the other thing? So I think that's the problem. And anyway, I won't. Jay, what do you take? Should we have a dialogue and give this guy a chance? He seems like, he's a smart guy. He's talking smart. He was on X giving us a raft of proposals that he's willing to do.
Yeah, but then he's also radioactive. As soon as you are even in contacts close to him, everyone will say you've been paid off, and you're always with him from the start. You're always just pretending. So it's you can't be anywhere close to him at this point. Yeah.
Well, you are the Gen Z here, so I believe you're speaking for them. So you don't.
I'm not speaking. No, I'm just a regular guy. That's all.
I'm just a small time boy. All right. I love that stuff. Who is? Was it Freeman or Kimani was next? I lost my track here. Kimani, do you agree with the Afrik? Afrik seems to be. I think he was the president's apologist. He kind of supported him, and he feels like he needs a second chance, and all that good stuff. Do you agree with him?
Yes, I do agree with him 100% because, as I had said that before, that rebuilding, bringing down a country and then trying to rebuild it, the way we have seen so many African countries from Sierra Leone, Congo, those countries, all the way to, like now, whatever is happening right now in the some of those countries like Kina Mali, Burkina Faso, those countries that the military has taken over, and those people will regret in future. In the coming years, they will regret because the military.
Kimani, Mali is doing pretty well. Their economy is. They have control of the resources. I know it's the military, and they've extended their. What
they have they have the control of their country, but they are inviting Russia to colonize them. Those countries are inviting Russia to come and colonize them. So bringing down a country and then trying to rebuild it, there are so many actors who are going to come in and try to be your friend to build, but they make sure that if you have resources, that you'll never get a foot in again.
Okay.
So what happens now is we need to give this president a chance. What happened, and the way forward is to keep on auditing this government now and then, and the pressure has to increase. We say the pressure has now to increase, and we have to make sure that Kenyans are aware of whatever is happening in their country, in what the government is doing.
So Mandamano Mandamano on Tuesday and Thursday next week. We should go on.
I think we should give now time for dialogue and action.
But
and
he doesn't listen. If we don't go to Mandamano, he won't do it. That's
then
why we have
then the generation will still come back to the streets.
Can I come in?
Yes, come in.
And the same thing.
Okay. Kimani, can I ask you a question?
Yes, ask me.
I think you're wrong when it comes to Mali. I have been in West Africa a lot. Last year I was in West Africa for half an year, the whole half of last year. What these people have been done to their country is maddening. You are just wrong there, and we're having a conversation. Is fair. You're just wrong.
Okay, but I think they started thinking about their country when they made sure that they have removed France as an actor in that country. But now they removed France, but they are bringing in Russia.
That's a mistake. That's the mistake now they're making, and even us, we have to think the same thing. An enemy of your enemy is your friend, but you just have to remember still there's an angle that they're looking for. So you have to think that way. Even if Russia might have an interest in what is happening here in Kenya, we have to realize this is our own. We decide. Our government, whoever will be the next government, we have to keep an eye on our country, our resources. Everything we have belongs to each and every one of our blood. That I think we have to think that way. I know West is using this kind of stuff to say Russia is bad, Russia is the one causing us to do this kind of stuff. We have to think we're in a psychological warfare here, I think. I could be wrong, but that's what I think.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Okay.
Did you have a rebuttal?
Yeah, I wanted to.
Who? Somebody else will say?
Go ahead. I had a question.
Okay. Kimani, go ahead with your question. Kimani, were you saying something? Then Lydia will ask you a question or a question for general panelists.
Yes, I wanted to add on what the last speaker has said, is that it's a matter of time when it's just a matter of time, and we'll see what Russia will do in Africa, because it is completely trying to destabilize many countries in Africa. And the way one of the government officers said that there is a herd of Russia in Kenya that is acting, it might be, or it might be not that, but and also it might be. And that's why I'm telling the Gen Z to be very, very careful, not to be advised by politicians, because politicians take sides, and they should make sure that whatever this government is doing, they are auditing it personally themselves, and not waiting for the politicians to do something. And then we put pressure on this president to make change, and it will be good. We work with him because it's better this devil, we know. Because even if you look at the Kenya political circle right now, and you look for replacements, they are all wolves, criminals, and there's nobody there. There's nobody, at least we can say, that we can replace with these criminal that we have.
Okay, Lydia, you had a question before we go to Ingrid, then Africa 24, then
I had a question, then I was like, no, this mentality, better the devil we know, is very destructive. So we are going to, no, the whole point is to get rid of that corruption mentality. We cannot keep going better the devil we know. He's too much of a devil. We don't want to know him. Okay. We do not want to know him and his homies. We have to get rid of that mentality of even voting people like those in. We can't have that defeatist mentality. We cannot do that.
Okay. Ingrid, are you working for the Russians?
You wish. Okay, I'm going to go off on a tangent a little bit here.
Please do.
Statistically, if we took all the assets of the entire world and split it equally between the population of the world, every single one of us would have 10 million in the bank. The problem here is greed.
Yep.
Well, so we have a constitution which help us kind of balance things out. Power is supposed to be, neutralize things. When somebody tries to be too greedy, the government steps in and protects you. But
Yeah,
of
and I
course,
just want to, sorry to
Yeah.
interrupt. I
Yeah,
just
go
want
ahead.
to put myself in the shoes of the parents whose children were shot. The amount of pain it takes to lose a child for nothing apart from them standing up for their rights. And now we're supposed to just rationalize with this man? It's just a no.
Good question. And I wanted to ask Mzalendo that. Mzalendo, I know you applauded the whole X Space thing. And I think Gen Zs, most of them are saying that. Why should we sit down with somebody who already shot us? Why should we sit down with him? Why should we listen to anything he has to say while we don't even trust him and he's killing us, abducting us, doing all this stuff? Why? Make a case for your president.
I like the way Kenya revolutionary. You are saying make a case for my president. We have been with you on various platforms, and you are supporting the same William Ruto at some point because we believe.
Hold up! Time out! I have to make. Wait a minute. This is no. Hold on.
All right.
I defended his win. I said he won fair and square. There was no evidence that suggested that this elections was rigged. I defended that. I never voted for him. I never voted for Raila because I felt all of them were a bunch of corrupt leaders. They're the same, two sides of the same coin. Okay? Now, when I was in Mutembei, people were mistaking that for saying, oh, you're supporting Ruto. Go watch my old videos from a year from back. I was the first one who called him an IMF American puppet, US puppet. That is not to say that I supported this government. No. So let's make a distinction. Go ahead.
I think that was the question of the moment that time, whether elections were rigged or not. The question of the moment at this particular time is on governance, corruption, abduction. So we have metamorphosized into something else. So politics comes with some challenges. So the challenge here is the conversation of the moment. The conversation of the moment is the Gen Zs and the rule of law, governance, and things like that. Now, people have been abducted, people have been killed. We don't advocate for that. Personally, I wouldn't want my own child being killed by a rogue government or by a trigger-happy policeman. You remember the issue of George Floyd when that policeman killed George Floyd? Was it the government of Joe Biden? No, it was the policeman who had to be arrested and jailed. So it is as simple as such. When people do mistakes, let them be accountable. What we are asking for, and personally, I'm advocating for, and most people here you see are abroad. They don't live in the country, although they will say, I've got family in Kenya. Have they lived in war-torn countries? No, they have not lived in war-torn countries. Are they advocating for war or a change of power peacefully? They're advocating for anything that can remove Ruto from power, even if it is by the gun. Let it be by the gun. So people are trying to take advantage of a situation and trying to come up with something that is good and settle political scores in some instance. Others are genuine, like the Gen Zs. They want change. They want employment. They don't want to see nepotism. They are in a tribeless society. You find people in my generation, they vote in tribe. They vote for whoever comes from their tribe. They don't look at policies or ideologies. Gen Zs are saying they are tribeless. And this is what we need to be discussing about. Who is the next leader of the Republic of Kenya? Ruto will not be there forever. Remember, we have got a constitutional mandate, and the mandate is on the ballot. So we can come out, exercise that what is required by law to remove a president. The problem with most African countries is that power is centralized. And they have few individuals with the power. Now, power had been decentralized in Kenya, so we have a devolved government. But what we have in devolved government is devolved corruption. So even if you are looking at a substitute for one William Ruto, we have to dig very, very deep as Gen Zs to the Gen Zs community, because they are now the biggest, they are the opposition in Kenya. They are the alternative government. That is a fact. They are the alternative government right now. They have the power in their hands. They need to have some structure such that when we move to 2027, they can present a leader and we will vote for that particular individual, especially if they are tribeless, the way it is right now. That is the kind of person that we want.
But what's with this obsession with they have to bring in a leader?
No, I'm not saying. I am not saying that they have to bring in a leader. There will be leaders on the ballot, and we will have to look at their policies and what they advocate for. They will have to vote at the end of it all. Or you think that they will not vote? They will vote for somebody who they feel that can bring change in the Republic of Kenya. That is the truth. They don't have to have a leader, but at the same time, we have to recognize that they can bring the change. They can put people in parliament. They can put people in where the laws are being made, and that is parliament and the Senate.
Okay, but and I bring Bernard to this. The thing is this. Okay, the Gen Z are the face of this movement. I don't think this movement is just limited to Gen Z. We've just labeled it that because majority of the people who are the faces of this movement, the people who are out there in the streets making the noise, are the Gen Zs. But it's this movement has been there even before them. I believe, even Orengo in 1992, they've been fighting for this. They are fighting it their own way, given the technology and all that stuff. But it's just not limited to Gen Z. And Ben, let me not get it. I'll play the person who kind of, Bernard, what do you think? Gen Z, should they have the political party choose their stuff, whatever? Or what's your take on it? Okay.
No. They can hear me?
Yes, we can. Go ahead.
Yeah, they don't need a political party. It's a movement that is calling for some very clear things. Number one, they don't have jobs. Number two, they don't want corruption. And at the beginning, they didn't want the finance bill, which they succeeded in forcing Ruto to say he is conceded. After they breached parliament and the violence and the killings, basically he was forced to say he's conceding. So the Gen Zs have won round one. So, and Ruto, when a finance bill is withdrawn, and let's quote Musalia Mudavadi here as saying that once we withdraw the finance bill, then it's a very serious issue. The government actually has to be dissolved. So whether you all like it or not, Ruto is going to cease being the president of the Republic of Kenya on the grounds that he has failed to fund his own government through a finance bill. It's the most serious proposal a sitting president can do. Is propose funding for his own government for the next 1 year. In this case, he was forced to withdraw the finance bill, and he killed people who are protesting against the same. So wherever you sit, Ruto has lost the mandate to rule Kenya. That is the truth of what we're dealing with right now. And someone was talking earlier about an entry and exit strategy here. My biggest advice, if I was to advise Gen Z or whoever the Gen Zs are, I know it's amorphous and invisible movement, but a good exit strategy here is this. A date is announced. We all show up in Huru Park. We march to State House. Whatever happens, happens. But in a international community intervenes and forces Ruto out. But for me, a good exit strategy is Deputy Rigathi Gachagua to take over. I don't like him, but if he was to take over, then that will be strike two. Strike one, finance bill is out. Strike two, Rigathi Gachagua. Ruto is out and Rigathi Gachagua takes over. That's a massive victory. Remember, Rigathi Gachagua, if he was to take over, he wouldn't attribute his presidency to himself. He'll be the default president because the guy before him just got kicked out by Gen Zs. So he can't chest them because the same Gen Zs can come for his neck. So it will be a massive victory for the movement, for Gachagua to take over. And then beyond that, we can start pushing for things like Gen Zs need jobs. Let's face it, unemployment has been a very big issue in this movement. All those kids in the streets because they have no jobs. If you listen to them, it's the number one issue. They're jobless. Even Ruto was admitting that the other day, that there's no way to monetize their skills. So the next big thing is for us, how do we create jobs in Kenya? That's very, very, very easy. I studied economics in college. And all Gen Zs can push for is number one, remove these stupid VAT taxes. Let's cut taxes in Kenya. You cut taxes, you bring jobs back to Kenya. You cannot tax the factors of production, land, labor. You can't tax that in capital. You can't tax those things. Remove taxes, and Kenya becomes like Dubai. We start, increasing supply of services and products, and we start employing people. It's that simple. So I hear a lot of things happening, and I hear a lot of people talking, but let's keep our eye on the goal. Ruto has to exit that seat. It's not his. He shed blood. He killed people. He's gotta go. That's it.
Thank you, Lydia.
Okay.
Lydia.
Yeah.
There are people saying maybe the opposition might have a hidden hand in this. Raila, Uhuru.
It's very possible. It's very possible. But I think we just have to go step by step. Mm-hmm. Whether they do, because right now the opposition cannot be trusted either. So like he was saying, the guy before you, he had really good points. Let's be practical. Like he was saying, do I like Gachagua? No. But he was just saying step by step. Finance bill gone, Ruto gone. Okay, then maybe Gachagua. I'm not saying we should, but we just have to be practical in our endeavor. We just have to be practical. That's what I'm saying. But is it possible the opposition had something to do with it? Of course. Anything. It could be the Pope. Who knows?
Okay, the Pope is behind this. That'd be funny. That'd be wonderful if the Pope is behind this.
But for most of you, some of you are very politically involved. So just for those who are not very politically attuned in Kenya, I can give you a quick rundown. If you want to know what Gachagua is thinking, then you listen to what the Nyeri governor is saying, Kahiga. That's his mouthpiece. Actually, that's when he wants. Or in Nairobi County, you listen to a guy called Gakuya. To give Gachagua credit, Gakuya, his mouthpiece in Nairobi, never voted for the finance bill. So is the opposition or the political shenanigans of the usual stuff involved in the Gen Z movement? Yes, they are. And some of those guys who are involved, we welcome what they're doing, because Gachagua's people He's the MPs, the UDA MPs allied to him. Many of them voted absent, which is fine with us because they helped us reject this bill. We also know that people like the Embakasi MP, Babu Owino, also was very vocal against the bill, and actually I think he was involved outside Parliament just before the break-ins. He was talking to the Gen Zs too. He played a huge role. So if the opposition or some political figures somehow have their hand in this, as long as their hand is in the right things, stretching down the finance bill, improving the welfare of Gen Zs or Kenyans, improving the lives of Kenyans and building society, whoever it is, whether in the government side, outside, we don't care. We want Kenya to work for everyone.
Okay. To me,
Kenya, before I forget my point, the gentleman who has just spoken has brought in a very interesting point, and it just tells you how people are thinking out there and are trying to capitalize on the situation. He has mentioned Gakuya. I've been in the political field for a long time. I know what is happening. He's mentioned the Nyeri governor. You don't have to go to the Nyeri governor to listen to what Gachagua is saying. Gachagua is talk straight and plain of what he wants and his intention. The Nyeri governor is just talking on Gachagua's base. That is the Kikuyu community. That's another tribal entity that is coming in. So there is also an aspect of UDA being divided. When he mentions Gakuya, that is a wing of UDA that is dividing the UDA Ruto and the UDA Gachagua. This is a UDA Ruto and UDA Gachagua at war. The Kikuyu business community at war with the president. So this is what these are the talking points that brings in the kind of rift, and people think that okay, are they after good governance? No, they are not. These are the same devils. They just want to take up power.
Zalendo, there was a video that went kind of semi-viral over this, I think, a Purgen old man. I don't know if you saw it. And he was, of course, he's a Kalenjin, and he was addressing Gachagua and the Rift Valley people. And he was basically, making it, at him with respect to Ruto, Gachagua. I don't know if you guys saw that. He was talking about, he was really, really,
Yeah, you see, I couldn't watch it for a minute. Those are the same talking points when we are Gachagua's base and when we are Ruto's base. Those are the issues now that are coming. Those are the issues. And if you are in the political, if you are in the political kitchen, let me call it a kitchen, where things are cooked. You would know that where do you think that Ruto and Gachagua got their differences? Well, when did they start the misunderstanding between Ruto and Gachagua? It is simple. It is simple. When Ruto decided so that Gachagua saw that every other ministry is going to the Kalenjin community, he said, "Wait a minute, we gave you 60%. You only brought 40%. We need our share. We need the one man, one shilling kind of thing." So that is what is playing out right now. Gachagua is at the right place at the right time to capitalize on political confusion in our country. Yeah.
Let me bring in.
Can I respond to that?
Yeah, very quickly before we bring Freeman, because he's been quiet for a while, and Jay is yawning. I don't know if he's hungry, but go ahead.
All right. So personally, I'm from Kiambu and I'm a Kikuyu, and I hate tribal politics. So the reason why Gachagua and Ruto are at war, at loggerheads with each other, is not what you just said. And I can tell you what actually went wrong. Number one, when, quote unquote, Ruto was declared the president by the IEBC, declared the president. Whether he won that presidency is a whole other debate. But he's the one who was declared, and he was sworn in. Fine. The first week in office, I know everyone here is a Kenyan. You follow what happens. Ruto made an important trip. He took the Air Force helicopter and went straight to Homa Bay. What did he do in Homa Bay? Ruto's number one objective was to, and you go look at the facts, was to make attempts at dethroning Raila as the kingpin of the law. Watch those videos of Ruto's first week in office. He made his trip to Homa Bay with ODM rebel MPs, you know them, amongst them Karoli Omondi and all those people, to dethrone Raila as kingpin of the law. From day one, Ruto was obsessed with the idea of tribal kingpins. And that's what inspired him to bring in Miguna from Canada. He delivered Miguna's passport to Canada, flew him to Kenya. Miguna's first task was to go to Kisumu and Nyanza and try and rescue, quote unquote, the Luo from Raila. So you can see the obsession of Ruto from day one. Tribal kingpins, 2027 campaigns. This is week one. I'm a political animal. I can read through these things. Okay. What did he do in Central? He put in Dindi Nyoro, and Dindi Nyoro started going for Harambes to try and become, quote unquote, the Kikuyu kingpins. That is the root of the problems of Ruto and our country and tribalism. It's not good for anyone. So I just want to say that to the gentleman who just spoke. Thank you.
Okay, let's go to Bernard, then Ingrid, then Jay, then we'll come back to Mzalendo, because I know Mzalendo has a lot. You know, Mzalendo is, I know him. We go back
Oh
far.
my God. It's not the story of Homa Bay.
Freeman, then Ingrid, then Jay. Freeman, what do you make of this tribal stuff? I mean, sometimes Kenya, we can't ignore our tribes, but you know, we have a generation saying we are tribeless, partyless, and headless. So take it from there.
Hey guys, I think the last speaker had a very good point. I think I never thought it in that sense. I think he's on some. The Nyoro thing might be something that maybe he was thinking maybe to install him maybe. However, I think the tribal politics is a stupid way of thinking. We are all human. We don't pay. I'm a Kikuyu. We don't pay for ugali, or you don't buy bread with Kikuyu money. You don't buy bread with Luo money. So we have to educate our people, and we have to change ourselves too. We can't think that way, I think. What was the other question?
No, I just wanted to get your take on that. All I want to say is this. While I agree with you that I wish we could be tribalists, as the Gen Z are telling us, but when it comes to elections, I mean, you do the numbers based on, you know, tribal, you know, persuasion. That's why you see these people, you know, Raila will pick Kalonzo, so Kalonzo can bring that Kamba vote, get Joho to bring that coast vote, bring in somebody from Central to bring that Central. We can't ignore that. Yes, I would like to see a society where we are basing our decision based on, you know, somebody's qualification or political persuasion or philosophy, but it's something that we can't ignore. Bernard made some good points about, you know, trying to blame Miguna. I also never thought of that, like that. I thought Ruto was looking at Luo Nyanza to substitute the central province, because he might as well abandon them, or has abandoned them by now. I don't know how you look at it, because because if you look at the votes, like the register, the population, Nyanza and Central you can switch them over. Like they're kind of the same number, kind of like. But anyway, let me bring Ingrid, then Jay. Jay has been quiet for a while. Ingrid stepped out for a minute. Ingrid, what's your take on this? Do you think that you know, Gachagua is jumping in, taking advantage? He wants to harvest. You know, Ruto is down. It's time to kick him, or what?
You'll have to forgive me. I've only been living here for just over a year. So I'm not up to date with all the names of everybody. So I can just go on the energy.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
So,
where did you live before? England?
Yes.
What do you think about Sunak? He's leaving office.
Tough spot. But anyway, so this whole thing about tribalism,
right?
It's a perfectly natural thing. There's a thing that happened in university, and our university professor asked us to look at one boy in the class, and he made this boy stand up and ask him, and he said, and we were going on for hours, what is the first thing you see about this boy? What do you see? And he was saying all kinds of things. And the university professor got so frustrated, he was like, the first thing you see about him is that he's black. This is in a mixed class of white people with 2 people. So it's perfectly naturally human to see each other based on where you come from. The wrong thing to do is to use that against each other.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree with you. And I once said something controversial in Zalendo's channel, Afrique 24. I said, some people vote based on their tribe. And I said, there's actually nothing wrong with that. It's a democratic right. Now, is that ideal? No. I would like to believe that they can be more, sophisticated than that. Like maybe, if they...
Yeah, so whatever happened to you vote on somebody who's qualified to do the job properly?
Yes, that I agree with that. But I'm saying like most people, especially in Kenya, like if you go to the, down in the village down there, they're more inclined to vote for their own person than, regardless of whether he's or she is qualified or not. That's just what happened. So whoever their tribal chieftain is associated with or is whatever political
it's a completely natural flow of things. It's like over here where I own my farm, most of my workers are from another tribe. They won't mix with another tribe and have to try and make them work together as 2 tribes. And it's just crazy to me how they just one tribe will sit with the other tribe on the farm and the other tribe won't fit on the farm. And then on top of this, I'm really glad I never bought the fake fertilizer. I mean, fuck, I'm so lucky I didn't do that.
It was cheap. I can get you some. It was very cheap. I'm selling it. Jay, what do you take? Gachagua is trying to harvest.
Can I just jump in for a minute?
Yes.
Yeah, so the other thing I wanted to say is on all this discussion of we should give Ruto a chance to redeem himself and make the policies work and all of this. And I'm so upset, the level of upset and pain, I just don't even know how to put it into words, because as human beings, we all make mistakes. We screw up. But what kind of screw up is, by the way, I shot your child, give me a moment to fix it? What kind of screw up is, oh, by the way, I put a couple of 100 million in my personal pocket while the Gen Zs and the people who are trying to fight have barely anything to live on?
Right. Good point.
Yeah.
Good point. And by the way, I was thinking about it. The fake fertilizer, some of it was donkey shit. For real. Actually, donkey shit is fertilizer. It fertilizes the soil. So I don't know why people are so getting mad at.
Can I come in here?
As a farmer,
Yes,
I am very upset because I think someone sold it to me, but I'm letting it go.
I was just joking. Somebody wanted to say something before I bring Jay, then Lydia.
Yes, I wanted to say something, please.
Yes, who is it?
It's me.
Okay, go ahead.
So this do you imagine the kind of person who would put diatomite and sell? Diatomite is worthless kind of thing.
Right.
You're selling that to the farmers. You're poisoning their land. What are you doing to those people? You're killing them.
Why can't we see this?
Yes.
I'm done.
You know, before I bring Jay, do you know also the GMO that is being brought, the GMO stuff that's from Monsanto and all that? It actually affects the land, the soil of the Nino of the your farm. If you use, I was just listening to a documentary about the GMOs, the Monsanto and all that stuff, and how it affects the land. It's unbelievable. Like that stuff. That's why I was like, Bill Gates should be arrested for bringing that stuff in Makweni, and the Makweni, whatever was just. But anyway, Jay, then Lydia, what do you think? You can pick on the fertilizer stuff, or you can speak on Matiangi. What do you think? Matiangi is taking advantage of the Ruto's fall?
Yeah, this whole stuff I see of putting in Matiangi is just a joke, because the guy was like involved in multiple corruption scandals and everything. Just we can't be serious with a guy like Matiangi. It's you wanna.
I keep on seeing his posts.
Yeah.
I keep on seeing his posts everywhere in X that Matiangi will be the next president or whatever. I'm like, anyway.
Yeah. But Bernard made a very excellent point with the division that was already there within UDA 2 years ago involving Gachagua and Ruto, which is something which is in the background now, but it's entirely possible the whole voting in like tribal blocks may have changed after 2 weeks ago, but it's hard to tell until the next election. So yeah.
Yeah, I think it's too early to call it. It depends who will be on the ballot. But Gen Z are changing the game. Lydia, you've been quiet there. Are you still praying? Lydia? Let me unmute you. Lydia, are you there?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, now I can hear you. Go ahead.
Yeah. I don't know much about Matiangi. I guess I have to do some research. But as you mentioned, Bill Gates, he was also producing, has this company where they produce these mosquitoes.
Yeah,
like
and
6 million. Yes, mosquitoes. Like this guy is, yeah, he's like the Antichrist. I don't know what's wrong with him. Bill Gates, I don't, it's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the first video, one of the first video I made 3 months after Ruto became president. And I said, this guy is a freaking puppet. Nani, Afrik, Mzalendo, you had a pregnant point about Matiangi after Bernard spoke. Can you just release it? Pierce it.
Thank you, Kenya Revolutionary. I didn't have anything. People who think about Matiangi, they are sick in the head. Matiangi, I don't know. I have no words for them, because this guy is a dictator. You saw what happened and how he was frustrating this other regime before they came into power. But I want you to walk you back to what Bernard had said, that he could be. You could think that he's actually saying something that is happening, and it can be misinterpreted at what he's saying, especially when he's saying that Ruto took a chopper to Homa Bay. He ought to know what Ruto had gone to do in Homa Bay, and you also need to know what happened before, when Ruto went first to Homa Bay. He took all this rebel. That is right. These people who were against Raila Odinga, and the governor and the leadership in Homa Bay did not even welcome him on his trip. But on his second trip, the whole leadership of Homa Bay, under the instruction of Raila Odinga, welcomed one William Ruto. The bigger picture that you need to know about the Kenyan politics is that we cannot continue playing the ping pong game between the Kalenjin and the Kikuyu, that they are going to exchange power the way they want. And that has to stop at some point. If Gen Zs are going to give us the solution through the ballot, much better. But Ruto had started quoting the people of Nyanza, seeing that for a fact, and even Gachagua knows that for a fact, that this game lifespan is dead. He cannot be the president in 2032. being backed by the Kalenjin community.
But Mzalendo, what if the best, let's say 2027 comes in and the best candidate happens to be Kikuyu or Kalenjin? What's wrong with that?
I am getting there.
Okay, you're getting there.
And they cannot be, these mothers cannot be that lucky that they are each and every time giving us the best leaders. You can think what you want to think, but we have got also mothers who can produce better leaders. In my tribe, the Kauma tribe in the Mijikenda community, that is the smallest tribe in Kenya. So with the tribeless Kenya, without thinking about Kikuyu, Luo, Kamba, this is a millennial thought point. That is what they think about each and every time. When is my tribe going to get into power? And that is what we want.
The millennials?
I am telling you, the millennials think like that. Majority of them.
Can you say that one more time? Maybe I didn't get it right.
I am telling you
that they're thinking that what?
The thought of your father. You see, the thought of your dad and your thought are just the same. Majority. I'm not saying you in particular, Kenya Revolutionary. You would be a different breed, but my siblings in the village think the same way. If you go against one Raila Odinga, then you are going against the community. If you go today against Gachagua in Central right now, you are going against the Kikuyu community. They are not thinking of any other thing apart from their selfish interest. So
can I say something?
Yeah, you can go ahead.
I think you're making a lot of claims here that I need to play some facts for you. Number one, Ruto went to Homa Bay because he was attempting to dethrone Raila as the kingpin of the Luo. That's why he called the rebel MPs of the Luo. And just to delve back a little bit, remember the person who told Kenyans that we have to stop this Kikuyu Kalenjin quote unquote tyranny of numbers by Mutahi Ngunyi was none other than Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. And that's why he came up with this thing called BBI. BBI's main idea, other than one man, one shilling, one vote, was that the 5 biggest tribes in Kenya need to come together, and in every election, those 5 big tribes must have a seat on the table. That was Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta's idea. Who was the biggest opponent of BBI? It was none other than William Samoei Ruto. Ruto also opposed something called the Huduma number. Huduma number is what would make Kenya have the equivalent of the social security number in the United States. One of the biggest problems in Kenya is that you can get a bank loan using your passport, then go ahead and buy land using your national ID. So you possess 2 different identities to the taxman. That's a huge problem. In the United States, you can't do that. The person who opposed Huduma number to the last drop of his blood was William Ruto. That's on record. So you just mentioned Gachagua and Kikuyus. Just for the record, so you should know, the Kikuyus right now have one kingpin. That kingpin was announced at a conference called Lemuru 3. It was very, very clear. At the very end is a video clip saying who the kingpin are. So you can go look at it. I won't even tell you who that person is, but it's not Gachagua.
Uhuru Kenyatta. He still maintains it. I think so. Yeah.
So I can tell you, you can see where all this is going. Mr. Ruto, many of us opposed Ruto, but he was declared the president of Kenya, and he swore, he took the Bible and said, I'm president. Many of us at that point didn't care. We all Kenyans. We just don't care. Let's move on. We have a country to build, things to do. Let's move on. This guy is constantly in every single weekend on a V8 on top of the roof of a V8 somewhere. That's why Uhuru Kenyatta called him Tanga Tanga at one point. So many of us who love Kenya so much and observe things so closely. And I can tell you, Ruto has taken an equivalent of 50 trips abroad. He has been to every corner of Kenya as president in the last 2 years, 20 months. He's been to almost every county. If you put everything together, there is no way this guy can sit in his desk at Harambee House for 3 hours. No way. He doesn't have the time. He has not been working. That's why he has no idea what the hell is going on in Kenya. He is completely clueless. He looks lost. And that's why he's got to go.
All right.
Because he has abandoned the job. He is not doing his job. That's the reality. That's why we're after him. Thank you.
All right. Zalendo, before I let you. All right, hold on. Let me give an order so we can. It's almost 3 hours, and I'm about to bail out. So let's make our last submission. I'll start Zalendo. Zalendo, do you want to go last or do you want to go next? I don't know because
I'll forget this point because
okay. Hold on, Zalendo. So Zalendo will go. Then we'll go. Zalendo Kimani because he's been quiet. Then Jay. Then Lydia. Then Freeman, then Ingrid, then Bernard can close it. Does that sound good? So make sure that pregnant point is really, really heavy. The one that I will remember tomorrow.
No.
Guys, it's been great though. I loved it. I wish I could go all night. But go ahead.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you once again. I like Bernard his arguing points, but in this day and time, things like BBI would expand the executive, thus increasing the budget of the country. So, first of all, it was unconstitutional. Whatever they were pushing for is not inclusivity, but including one Uhuru Kenyatta back as a prime minister. We all know that it was in the blueprint, and that is why Kenya rejected it. And above all, I rejected it personally because it was increasing the burden to the taxpayers with all those offices being introduced. That is the reason why BBI was rejected. And on the other thing, on the other side of this old kingpin issue. This old kingpin issues brings us back to the tribal cocoons that we are in. Remember, the reason why this presidency is having a lot of problem, apart from bad governance and corruptions affecting its government, don't forget the Pandora Papers and the money that Uhuru Kenyatta is stashing abroad. We can't forget that. I believe there are so many orphans that came from the other regime. And Ruto only won with 200,000 votes. Remember, Uhuru Kenyatta had got supporters. Raila Odinga had got supporters. Kalonzo Musyoka had got supporters. So his legitimacy is questioned by so many people because all these people are not satisfied with his leadership. I am not saying that William Ruto is a good president. But what I'm saying is simple. There are things that are institutional. If it's the police is killing Kenyans, then they have to be accountable, just like the judiciary and the LSK society right now. The LSK society has got a strong lady who is heading that body right now. You can see what he's doing and taking up the cases and putting the government on its toes. And by next week, he will have filed so many cases for the victims who were shot, and they will definitely be compensated. So institutions have to be given the mandate to exercise their authority. The issue of IBC, even if we want to go and push this government out, we don't really have an IBC in place.
I think there's a bill. There's a bill that was today. Was it? I just saw that on Twitter that there's a IBC bill.
Yeah, there could be an IBC bill as a matter of urgency that we need that bill. But look at the immediate inherent, the heir apparent is one Gashagwa. Yeah, and this guy, whatever he has been talking about, I think is just tribal hatred. He's talking about his community more than the Kenyan people. So that is where we have the danger. So let us call it the way it is. People in millennials and people who are not Gen Zs at the moment, they're trying to hijack a process that was so good that would have put Ruto on toes. We have failed to bring the bad governance in this country. From the time of Mwai Kibaki, who was apparently incapacitated, and we let him become the president of the Republic of Kenya.
Was he?
Yes, he was. Yes, he was. He was never
Mentally?
I'm telling you facts, not things that I'm guessing. After the accident, Kibaki was never the same again. If Kibaki was the same again, we would have had a very, very good country.
I mean, his mental faculties were still up and running.
So let me. Can I say?
I can play for you videos.
You guys are going. You guys
can
are
I add something about Kibaki?
You're going deep into this rabbit hole. Okay, Bernard, you can go next.
Finish.
All right, wrap it up, and Bernard, then we can. Yeah, go ahead.
Let me just finish because these things I'm telling you, I personally worked to ensure that Kibaki became the president. And I can tell you for many, many instances, Kibaki had got the best technocrats who covered him. And he had a good spokesperson called Alfred Mutua who could take the back. Yeah. So you would never see any Kibaki anywhere.
I'm not young. I remember Alfred Mutua.
You remember Alfred Mutua?
He was a total disaster.
You used to be a disaster. So Ruto is in the position of Alfred Mutua right now. So how you hated Alfred Mutua is the way people hate Ruto because Ruto doesn't have a communication team. So I end it there by saying that one, we are one country. We love our country so much. Let us not bring the tribal rifts between William Ruto and Gachagua into the politics. Gen Zs have shown us the way. They want transparency. They want accountability. They want good governance. And they want institutions to work. And period. So if when William Ruto fails on his mandate because he has been given a time frame, then we can go back to the streets and kick him out. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mzalendo. By the way, Mzalendo has a nice channel called Afrique24. You guys can check it out. He also goes live every day. Between what times, Mzalendo?
Yeah, we have Afrique24 is a YouTube channel, and we also have a Facebook page, X, and all that. What we discuss is not just politics again. We discuss the African story, the diaspora story. We started with it back at home, Kenya. We are telling the Kenyan story. We will move to Uganda, Tanzania, tell the African diaspora story. What stories make we feel that are good for us here in the diaspora? We have a story to tell, how you came, what you're doing, and things like that. People need to know exactly the life in the diaspora. Before we all came here, we thought it was a bed of roses. Some people have made it, some other people have not made it. So we need to tell our story. So Afrique is all about the African story. So go on YouTube. Afrique is AFRIQ 24 on YouTube. Subscribe, like our stories. Come at 10 p.m. After this, we have a show that runs for I think 5-6 hours until morning. So you
have one tonight.
Yeah, we have had we have already had the 60 minutes when I came here, the 60 minutes of Kenyan politics.
All right.
Then we'll have the 1 hour, the 5 hours show that will run until morning. So otherwise, thank you, Kenya Rebellion. Because
you so much.
You are one of the panelists in Afrique, so I thought that
I'll come there to talk about Alfred Mutua and all this nonsense you're trying to feed us here. I'm just joking. We love him, Mzalendo. Okay, Bernard, you had something to say as next. Bernard K.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, go. Yeah, I can hear you now. Come on.
Yeah, you can. I wanted to add what Mzalendo had said about Kibaki. Kibaki is the only sitting Kenyan president that I ever met and sat down with. A friend of mine who is now deceased was extremely well connected in Kenya. His dad is still alive, he's a billionaire. Kibaki came to New York for the UN meeting, and he hooked me up. I sat down with him one-on-one, Kibaki. And Mzalendo, you're right. His marbles were gone. After the accident, he was not the same.
Thank you.
So, yeah, you were right about that.
Oh, I thought you guys were meant Nani. It was Matiba, who was kind of one of my favorite politicians. Him, I know he had some issues, but I didn't know about
Matiba. Moi injected something in Matiba when he was in captivity.
Oh shoot! Okay,
and he lost it also.
We need to have this historical stuff one day. I'll bring you guys, Bernard and Mzalendo, please. Nitawaleta hapa. Lydia
on a fax, bana.
Bernard, yeah, he's alituambia from day one. He told us that he's a political junkie. Lydia, give us your departing shot or your last submission, if you can. Let me unmute you. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I heard that about Matiba when he was tortured by the Moi regime, but I did not know that about Kibaki. So.
Me too. Me too.
But yeah, Ruto must go, and he will.
Absolutely. Keep on. Weke maombi atoke kabisa.
Ninaomba kila siku, morning, lunch, usiku.
All right. Kimani, your last submission, my brother.
Okay. I've listened a lot to most of the things that have been said here. There's one speaker who talked about if the Gen Zs can march to State House and force Ruto out, Gachagua to take over. That can be the biggest mistake that this country can get.
Why?
Yeah, I'm from Kiambu, and I know this guy is a total tribalist. Whatever he talks about my people, my people, my people. He doesn't have the interest of the whole country at heart. So this guy can be the biggest mistake that people can propel if the Gen Zs can propel him to power through the protests. I think the way I had said before that Uhuru had warned this about these two guys. He knew they were criminals. What Matiang'i was doing, and this guy from Kirinyaga, what is his name? The PS for he was a former PS of
Kibicho.
They were trying to prevent these guys from coming to power because they knew once these people comes to power, Kenya is doomed, and that's what has happened. And now we can call it a blessing in disguise because it's through now them that the country will start to experience change, because now they have seen it's not business as usual, and they have to work. There's another speaker who talked about that leadership is not about Kikuyus and Kalenjins, because from independence it has been from Kikuyu to a Kalenjin. I completely agree with him. I have had the chance to travel the whole of this country and interact with the people and do business with the people, the whole of this country. And let me tell you that we have brilliant peoples all over Kenya. From all tribes, we have brilliant people, brilliant leaders, and it is just the wrong choices that we make that during elections we return to our tribal cocoons and elect thieves and criminals and leave the best, the cream de la cream of this country. So we have the peoples of Ekulu Aukot. One of my best people and my best presidential candidates that I always admired when he was in the ballot. These are the people who should be given the leadership mantle of this country. Let us not think about their tribes. Let us vote people because of their merit.
All right.
Make sure that this country gets the best, because for this country to develop, we have to put the best people in parliament. But if you, like now in central Kenya, if you get all the names of those MPs who are in parliament and compare them with the members of parliament from other parts of the country, from Nyanza and where, it's like comparing day and darkness. These are people who cannot engage in meaningful conversations in parliament. These are people who just talk nonsense, and they talk about my people, and they talk about this issue of, and they have no agenda whatever, because they were brought there just to loot the CDF money, because whatever gets the members of parliament into parliament makes people vie for MP positions.
Kimani, have you ever heard of Selassie or Oscar Scudi?
Those are, we can say, those are just the 1% of the other.
Right. All right, Kimani, thank you so much. Let's go to Ingrid. Ingrid, your parting shots, your last submission.
My parting shot is going to be a domino effect parting shot as an ex-diaspora. The thing is, corruption is so deeply rooted, and the only way I can explain how deeply rooted it is when I came back here to live in Kenya, and I had my mother's birth certificate. I had my 4 Kenyan passports expired. I had them, and I had to prove for over a year that I'm Kenyan. When I went to the government office, explaining, look, hello, I'm Kenyan, I've gone overseas, I've worked hard, I brought my money back here, and I'm bringing my money back to my country, and they kept disputing that I'm Kenyan. These motherfuckers told me that because I have no contact with my father, and he lives somewhere at the bottom of Ngong Hills, I'm in a Kenyan official passport office, and they told me the only way is for me to go and find my dad and get his fingerprints put on a piece of paper to prove I'm Kenyan. I didn't realize, because I was so naive, they were looking for a bribe.
Wow. So is your dad the Kikuyu or the Indian? Which one is it? I know you're.
No, my dad is the Kikuyu. My mom is the Indian. Okay, but it's just crazy to me that the corruption and this whole thinking of, lipa chai, lipa kitu kidogo, it's leaked down from the government down into the people who are struggling. These people wouldn't do that if they were paid well, would they?
That's true.
No, they wouldn't. They wouldn't, Ingrid.
Right.
If they were paid well, they wouldn't do that.
Right. But it also it comes to the individual too. Some people get paid well, but they still want some more. I mean, Morkomen.
Are we talking about Ruto?
Oh, that's that too. I mean, that's why they say we have to have integrity, because some people, they get a good paycheck and they still want some more, so they still ask for bribes. So
and my heart is absolutely broken, because Kenya is such a beautiful country. Do you know what I mean? We are wealthy. We have so much rich farmland. We have so many resources, and we deserve a leader who doesn't try to fuck with us. That's what we deserve as Kenyans.
Absolutely. Jay, before I go to Freeman, Jay, what's your parting shot? Thank you so much for putting your camera on. You're the Wendy Kenyamba Sikichwangumu, as my friend Captain would say. Go ahead.
I think we're all at a point where we can either go back to the business as usual and back to the same old story from 1963, or having actual meaningful change and reform. And one of the points that Kimani made was we should be careful of letting back the same old wolves. And because I've been checking the YouTube comments, and there's this looking back at Kibaki with rose tinted glasses. But then remember, under Kibaki there was Anglo leasing, and
yes.
A major thing that happened in my childhood was when he raided Standard just because of publishing info about an affair. So we should be really careful about how we look back at the past and who's brought back in. So that's my parting shot.
Yeah, good point. Freeman, the freest man on the panel. Your parting shot.
What's up? I just, first of all, nice to meet all of you. I know I should have introduced myself. I'm sorry.
Okay. Make sure you subscribe and like and be one of the regular panelists here, please.
You got it. So my own, I want us to go back and focus why we are here. And I would urge all of us to continue thinking what we do now. What are the options? Because we all have great ideas, all of us. And I'm looking at what we can do, or we can help our people ourselves, because now we are alone. So I was thinking, what if we stopped everything apart from hospitals? Nobody goes to work apart from hospitals.
As a way of resisting against this government?
Yes.
You missed the conversation. Was it yesterday? You missed the conversation yesterday or the day before yesterday. We had that talk.
No, I think I was there, but we didn't talk. I don't know if I wasn't in the.
Oh, you were on the comment section.
The comment section.
Okay.
Can that work? Anybody who knows?
It hasn't been tried, so I can't say if it will work or not. But I mean,
yes, that's called civil disobedience, and it works. It's called civil disobedience, and it works.
I think that's a very good avenue that we haven't looked at, or whoever haven't looked. That's an idea.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone. I want to thank Jay, Freeman, Kimani, Bernard as usual, Afrik24 Zalendo, Ingrid as usual. And did I miss anybody? Lydia, she just left, and everybody else that took part of your good year, and everybody at the comment section. I can name all of you. I thank you so much. Make sure you subscribe, like, share. I'll be here every day. Kenya is like a movie. Ruto is the star of this movie. Always something happening. Thank you so much, guys. I have to leave it here. Just don't forget, subscribe, like, share, comment, and I will see you guys tomorrow in the afternoon, probably. All right? Okay. Thank you so much, guys. I'll see you tomorrow. Peace and blessings.